Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everybody. I'm not a good speaker anyway, but I'll try to make a short introduction. There are two things. The first thing is the engagement. Part of the Farabi culture is to keep the engagement among all functions and among ourselves on a regular basis. So the engagement is really one of the main pillars or core values that any successful organization has to adapt and have part of the fabric of the organization itself. So the engagement is very, very important. We have to get together on a regular basis. We have to talk, exchange, challenge each other, support each other. So engagement is extremely, extremely important. So I would say this workshop is part of that. And inshallah ta'ala, this will be there. There will be a regular basis. And how frequent is it going to be? We will structure that. It will be part of the work processes of the Farabi. The second thing, I think today, the subject of today is leadership. And leadership, every one of us is a leader. And leadership is part of our daily life. You are leader at your home, you are leader at your workplace, you are leader. So leadership is about how you lead the people that you are responsible for. Leadership, how you lead yourself, in fact. How you control yourself, how you lead your family, how you lead your workplace. Leadership is basically an art that everybody must learn and everybody must adapt and acquire through knowledge, through such workshop, through readings, practicing, just to be a very successful individual within his family, within the community, and in the workplace, of course. So leadership is not doesn't mean management or the leaders of the country or the organization. Or leadership is really part of our life, part of everybody's life. So in order for us to have better interaction, better exchange of ideas through the workshop that we will be having today, I am sure that will acquire maybe some skills. Some of you, by nature, by genetic, is having maybe strong, leadership, and some, they go through acquirement and learning and adapting, skills and styles to sharpen the leadership skills. But definitely, this workshop either will anchor what you have, what you are doing today, or it will give you maybe different perspective or different idea on how to improve the leadership. So I hope that all of us learn from this workshop. We want just to have good interaction with the instructor, Mr. Berry, so we can benefit all of us out of this workshop. This workshop will be facilitated and delivered by Mr. Berry. Mr. Berry is the Farabi Marketing and Strategic Planning Director, and he's an instructor, and he's in the leadership. He delivers a lot of workshops, a lot of training in the leadership. So I'm happy that we have one of our leaders delivering such training, sharing his knowledge, his experience with all of us. But I don't want it really to be, an instruction. I'm sure he will not let us do that. He will make sure that there is adequate interaction. So we need to stay interactive with each other to maximize the learning and the benefit out of this workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Abdul. Thanks for that nice introduction and a nice warm-up. I think It's an honor. It's an honor to be presenting to my family, Farabi family. And on behalf of the leadership, the top leadership of Farabi, I think we have many leaders in this organization, and we are witnessing one of the finest leaders in this. Abu Dhafar has always been an inspiration for me. I'm not saying this because he's my boss. I know some of you, it's not because of performance appraisal, it's over. Okay? But it's most important aspect of leadership is role modeling. You understand the word role modeling, right? You have to be a role model. You have to be an inspiration. You have to be an influence. That is about leadership. And thanks for starting up with that nice warm-up like Arabic coffee with Dhafar. Like he talked about engagement. He talked about leadership. The need for us to all to be engaged. Okay? The challenge in most of the organization is engagement. If you really see organizations which are performing exceedingly well and organizations which have the potential but not performing to their potential, the key difference is engagement. I think engagement is a mantra, and it's a key word. Okay, that we see. So I think once again, like yesterday morning, I'm seeing a lot of faces that need to be activated. We have to increase the catalyst temperature a little bit. I mean, no pressure, but probably vacuum. Okay, we can apply vacuum so that there's a lot of things going to come out. Look at me as your flare line, and you should start. Please release your thoughts. Feel free. Sit at home like you are talking to one of your family members. Because freedom and creativity are the ground in which you can bring out your best performance. If you're going to be like this, and what am I going to do? Don't be under pressure. Okay, feel free. And once again, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Okay, let's have a very interactive session today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be talking about certain basic concepts of leadership. Today we are going to be a long day in the first half of it. Luckily it's a Thursday. Weekend is coming. So I'll be having two sessions today. First session is about leadership. Leadership in an organization context. Okay? And the second session we will have a small break. Okay? Even in the first session, if it is fine with others, we can have a 10 minutes break so that we can refresh and come back. And between the first and second session, I will have one long break, maybe 15-20 minutes. Because the second session is going to be dealing with personal mastery. How we can bring out the very best out of us. Okay, that will be the second session. The first session is very important, the leadership in an organization context. And in that leadership, I'm going to be talking about the basic concepts of leadership. And I'm also going to talk about what is the challenge in practicing leadership in an organization. Okay? And then we are going to look at a case study. I'm going to present to you how one of the major corporations, global corporation in this world, went through a challenging period and how they came back, how they rediscovered and reinvented themselves. We'll look at, there will be a lot of storytelling. Okay, I think all of us like to listen to stories, right? Okay, as human beings, we like to listen to stories. So I'll be sharing some stories. None of this belongs to me. I am presenting it from some of the authors and practitioners, world level leadership coaches. So I'll be a facilitator because there are better leaders than me sitting here. Okay. In case, I'm going to have only one request, or maybe a couple of requests. Okay. You can note down, but I will be sharing the entire presentation. There are a lot of slides, some technical slides. I'll be sharing the slides to everyone on a PDF format. You can enjoy that. Don't worry about capturing every word. Anything you want to ask me, just note it down. And secondly, be interactive, as Abu Dhafar said, so that we can maximize. That will also help me stay energetic if you ask me questions. Any questions that in case I'm going to have answers coming later, we will park it slightly. Or if it is a difficult question, I will pass it on to Abu Dhafar or Abu Khadir. They will answer. Okay? You're all okay? Now, what is leadership? Abu Dhafar did define about certain things about leadership. I'm going to ask you about leadership, so start thinking about your own definition of leadership. But leadership is in an organization context, not only in Farabi, not only in your family. I mean, even when you're going and interacting with people outside somewhere, right now there are a lot of people sitting here, okay? And that should be leadership in the air. You know, leadership is like the wing, the wind beneath our wings. The bird flies, right? The bird is flying towards a direction or a particular height, and it keeps growing. Right? And the most important aspect that makes the bird fly and grow nicely in a constant speed or an increasing speed or an increasing level is the wind beneath its wings. Right? And that wind is so very important. If the wind is not okay, the bird will fall down. You agree with me? Or it can go in a wrong direction. Right? Or it will go slow. That is leadership in an organization. Leadership is the one that makes an organization fly nicely. Yesterday, I don't know, some of you were there yesterday, the 15 years Farabi graph, it kept growing, growing, growing. One of the key, I think there was one question, I think Anis or somebody asked, why we kept growing, others didn't. The wind beneath the wings. And this wind is leadership. But the beauty of it, you cannot see the wind, right? Can any one of you see the wind? You can see sandstorm, but not the wind. But you can feel the effect of the wind, right? So leadership is similar. The effect of leadership is what is going to drive an organization. So we are going to brush up all these concepts that is going to give us better awareness. Right? Better awareness about leadership. All of us have learned leadership a little bit in college and work practices, workshops. But what we are going to touch upon them because that is going to give us more awareness. The beauty of awareness, my friends, with better awareness, what happens? We get better choices. Right? Yes or no?
Yes.
You're all getting ready for sleep, looks like. With better awareness, we get better choices. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
And with better choices, what happens? We get better results. And when our results become consistent, what happens? We achieve success. And when our success becomes consistent, what happens? We achieve excellence. So, it's always a good idea to touch upon the basics, fundamentals, concepts, so that we improve, we clarify everything that we know and correct certain things or update certain things like our night iOS update. We need to constantly update in today's world, right? So that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to start with the question as usual, especially the warm-up. Can any one of you here or some of you here define what leadership means to you? What is leadership? Yes, Father. You went in.
Ali.
Yes, Ali. Please go ahead, Ali.
A leadership or a leader, to me he's a father, yet he is a jailer, yet he is a strategic thinker,
Okay.
and a friend. And when I said a father, he should be caring, yet he should drive and put the limits and do this to be a jailer. Yet he is a strategic thinker to reach to a solution, guide the people, but he still has to close all the gaps and communication gaps between the team, be a friend with everyone, yet lead them. To me, this is required in such organization where it depends on the people, and yeah, it's all for us to come together between each department.
Great clarity. Great clarity. I think you can come over here. Thank you, God said that. Amazing definition. Good initiative. I would agree with, did you use a word called jailer?
Yeah.
Jailer, someone who puts you inside the jail.
Yeah.
Yeah? I agree with everything that you said, except for that word. I want to park that word around. We all have scope for improvement, okay? In our understanding. I want to keep that aside. Fine. But amazing definition. Any other thoughts? I fully agree with you. Yes. Please, pardon my ignorance. I want to see your face and your name.
Yeah, sure. Usama Natai.
I have some.
Leader, in my definition, is someone who shows or paves the way for success.
Great. I agree with you. Beautiful definition. There are so many definitions. I agree with you. Someone who shows and paves the way for success. Someone who's an inspiration. Someone who leads. Any more? Yes. Yes, tell me.
Yeah, being an example to others.
Being an example. Wonderful. Very sharp.
Usman,
Yes, Usman.
I think the leader is someone who first develops a vision and then inspire and guide the people to attain that vision.
Vision, inspire, guide. All very important leadership actions. Okay, fine. Now let me get into I'm going to share with you the definition of leadership by one of the greatest authors of management and leadership. I don't know if you've heard about his name, Peter Drucker. Okay? Mr. Peter Drucker. Anyone, this name sounds familiar to any one of you? If any one of you is pursuing MBA or high management in any form, you have to read a book on Peter Drucker. I mean, it is part of your curriculum. He's one of the authors and leaders. He's an Austrian-born American professor, leader, corporate coach. I mean, he's no more. I mean, since even mid-1900s. He's a veteran. You go to Harvard School or any Wharton or Stanford or any school anywhere in the world, if you're doing MBA, you have to refer to Peter Drucker's book. I'm going to share all these slides with you. Just only note down. Let's look at what Mr. Peter Drucker says about leadership. Leadership is a process of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others to achieve a common goal or goals. Leadership is a process. Look at what this. There are so many definitions of leadership. By the way, what Ali said, what Sama said, everybody, I think you were all right. You were all mentioning about the components of leadership. You are all sharing your own perspectives of leadership. I'm sure everyone here has his own perspective of leadership. But this is one of the finest definitions and articulations of leadership in a very, very clear fashion. Look at it. This gentleman is saying leadership is a process, okay, of social influence. You are influencing people constantly. Like this, like this, like this. Downwards, upwards, to accomplish a common goal. So which means leadership is not a singular thing. I'm just going to share more. What are the key elements if you have to take away from here? Number one is, it is a process. It is not a person or a position. That's what Abu Dhafar was also saying in the beginning. But normally, as human beings, we tend to think there is one person there. He is going to come and lead me and make me. Okay, fine. There are leaders. We have organizations. There are leaders. But I'm looking at all the people, Abu Hamza and I discussed, and we are putting all the people in the room who are all responsible for leadership for various functions. Maybe you'll be leading one person or two person, or a small section, small set of people, or a department, or a division. But everyone sitting here has got something to do with leadership in Farad. Okay? And it's not a person, it's not a position. It's a process. This is one basic thing. And just let me see how this process works. I was just trying to give a graphic image of this process. You know, if you look at this, how does this process, I mean, this is an abstract concept. I'm trying to put some meaning into this concept. When it is working downwards, from top to down, what are the processes? Some of the examples, not holistic. You are going to define, as a leader, you're going to define the objective for your team, the mission for your team, the purpose definition for your team. You're going to motivate your team. You're going to inspire your team. You're going to show path to your team. You're going to facilitate to your team. You're going to provide support and resources to your team. All these things are leadership. When you're doing the leadership process, is downwards. Sometimes sitting and listening to them. Going and giving a warm handshake to them and saying, how are you guys? You did a great job. You're doing a wonderful job. I love sitting with you guys. I like working with you. These are all leadership thoughts, actions, and words, which can do magic for you. Not, we are all chemical engineers from FYPC University, from this university, from big Indian university, from Pakistan University, and we go and sit in a chair. Come to me. That's not leadership. Leadership should be an influence. What influence? Not on you, on the social part, what around you. Okay? This is downwards, and it's not only downwards. Okay? It's not only for Abu Hattan and other GMs here. Huh? There is also leadership upwards. What can be the leadership process that fits in an upward context? Okay? We are all committed to a task. We are all committed to doing something. We are all working for this organization with passion to come and learn. Look at this, the initiative that we show, the commitment levels we show, the passion we display, okay, the ownership that we show. I will get it done. I will not wait for somebody else to tell me what I should do. Let me think about it. While you're driving, you're thinking about something, about your task, how I can do better. Now, if Akram thinks about a particular financial closure process, and can he do better? than what I did yesterday. Can I outbeat what Nairos proved to Abu Dhafar? That is leadership. Upwards, okay? But the most important thing, leadership process in an organization context, if you ask me, is the next one. Is between the peers. This is where we encounter all the problems. And most of the times we spend a lot of energy on this. How can you work with your peers? What is the team spirit, the teamwork, the trust, cooperation, and understanding, okay? For example, if there is a specialty oil discussion, so I'm just trying to bring in some work context, okay? So, we are making a new product, so it's going to be a very promising product. I'm not doing marketing, let me teach leadership. Ali is demanding something from Hammam, or Hammam is demanding something from Ali. It's not no, I have to push my point, or he has to, no, it's not, that's not leadership. They're all beautiful leaders, by the way. I'm just using their name. They're very good guys. They're not, if I am telling you something for you to smile. You can give freedom for yourself to smile. Don't breathe in and hold yourself, okay? So, but if Ali says, my customer needs this, I cannot compromise. And Hammam is going to say that, no, I have a challenge, Ali. My feedstock is this. Ali has to trust what Hammam says, first of all. And then listen to Hammam. What is this? Hammam, how else can you help me? The customer wants this, but I understand, I trust you. There is a limitation, there is a hardware, whatever limitation. But can we be somewhere in between? And then I will try to go to the customer. I will try this with the customer. And then come back to you if it doesn't work. This is teamwork. This is trust. When they start doing it, the person above or the organization doesn't have to worry. They will take care. So this is showing leadership between peer level. Okay, it's a clear view. Leadership downwards, upwards, between peer. If we do that, we can be an extremely productive, creative organization. We have no other option but to do this. Let me tell you. So key element 1 I want to share with you is a process. The element 2 from Peter Drucker's definition for us to understand. It's not authority, it's not power. Leadership is not about authority or power. Leadership is about influence. It's a process. We have to influence people. Because authority or power, when we use authority or power, what we are doing is we are using commanding or ordering. Because which will only lead to obedience and compliance. Yes, there are compliance issues, like there are safety, there are red marks, clear red lines. But most of the leadership needs to come from influence, effective influence. We talked about the word inspiration. When we use social influence or inspiration, what happens is people start buying it. Yes, I think Sam is saying something which makes a lot of sense. I didn't think about it. It's a different perspective. Then, what happens? People start collaborating. And people start developing better habits. The title of today's workshop, I said, leadership, making it a habit. Leadership is not something we try to learn and put from the books and put it, it's a practice. And when it becomes consistent, it becomes a habit. So people start developing habits, collaboration, which leads to positive culture. So 2 things we are learning from his definition. Leadership is a process, it's not authority or position. And leadership is influence. Not influence. Okay? Does it make sense? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
By force? Or by influence? Influence? Are you sure? I trust you. Because you are my peer. I trust you. There is another, let's look at another. I'm not going to go through many definitions. From here I will move on to something. There are innumerable definitions of leadership. Now I'm going to look at another leadership guru. Okay? This gentleman is his name is Ralph C. Smedley. I know there are some Toastmasters sitting here. Usam was a Toastmaster, right?
Participated a little bit.
Participated, we are going to pull him back again here. Okay? We have no excuse. And I think Hafiz is a Toastmaster. And there are few Toastmasters. Mani is a Toastmaster. Mahdi is a Toastmaster. Aravind was a Toastmaster in Jubail. Unfortunately, you told him not to be a Toastmaster. He complains against you. Or you are probably pressurizing him not to be a Toastmaster. Somebody. Ralph C. Smedley is the founder of Toastmasters. He is the great visionary who established Toastmasters in US about 96 years ago. Great visionary. Look, let's see what this gentleman, you all know what is Toastmaster. Let's see what he says about leadership. Leadership is the ability, definitely ability, not a position, not a power, to look ahead, think ahead, plan ahead, and influence people to go ahead after the plan. Very similar to what Ali said in the beginning. You said a lot of important acts of leadership. Wonderful. I mean, it's a very, one of the finest definitions of leadership that I have come across. Everything, every action is important. You know, as a leader, you have to do all these things, right? Look ahead, think ahead, plan ahead, and influence people to go ahead of the plan. An excellent definition. What do you think of it? See here, everything is important, but in my opinion, the most challenging, the most important part of leadership, according to this definition, is this: influencing people. It's not easy to influence people. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm trying to influence you. I know some of you are forthcoming, some of you are a little challenging, but that doesn't mean I have to keep engaging. I have to make sure that I engage. That is why we are here for, right? Is there anyone who is wedded to Farabi? Your father or mother said, go marry Farabi. No, right? We are here to do something. We are here to learn. And we cannot learn and perform without engaging, without influencing. Please don't take it as an offensive remark. I'm just trying to help you visualize, okay? It's about influence. And how do you influence people? You have to influence them convincingly, appealingly. It should appeal to them. You have to sell it. You know, they should buy your product. Every time you're trying to influence people, your team, as a leader, I'm looking at all of you as leaders here, energetic young leaders. You have to be selling yourself to your team members, selling your ideas, selling your concepts. And if they have a better concept, be open to receive the concept. Okay? That is leadership. But it's not easy. How do you influence a person? Especially when there's a challenging goal or a challenging team goal, challenging objective. I mean, if there is a target, today we are handling some challenging issues in FYPC. When FYPC was in a project stage, there were a lot of challenges, right? Hosam, can you tell me one of the biggest challenges you faced when you commissioned FYPC or during mechanical completion or commissioning?
Numerous, but one of them was to get things done on time with the contractor.
Any specific case can you go? Yes, this is always a challenge.
Contractor at one point in COVID, half of them they were.
Great example. They were not, they were giving COVID excuses.
No, they were quarantined in their camps.
Okay.
Yet we had to do a complete job.
And how did you do that? What was I mean, just very briefly, not, it will take days for you to explain. What was the main critical success factor which helped you achieve that?
Determination.
No, that is you, but the team.
No.
What is as a leader, how did you come up with the...
You are determined, you are committed, and then you've got to influence people around you.
Beautiful.
To be on the same level of determination and commitment to do it.
I'm sure you requested them to stretch. I'm sure you asked them to give twice that they can give. And it's not easy for people to come and give much more than what they are normally expected to give. And as a leader, you have to influence your people, for which there has to be you have to inspire them. And what is inspiration? Anyone can quickly tell me what is inspiration? Influence, yes, it is an influence. Inspiration is an influence. Inspiration is a higher order thinking. Okay? You know, as engineers, there are mostly engineers here, there are also others. Then as engineers, we normally, you know, the way we are trained, educated, our decision making is a simple, logical next step. You think of a simple, logical, scientific next step, right? That is, there can be an artificial intelligence which can do this job. Do you agree? To some certain extent, okay. But we are leaders, but it cannot replace. We need leaders to do something higher than that. So higher order level of thinking. Show them the longer term benefits. Show them a far-reaching perspective, far-reaching viewpoint, so that people buy into your idea and then accept you. Not obey you, just accept you. That is inspiration. Inspiration is a higher order level of thinking which you do with your people so that you make them think beyond. Okay? I know I'm using a lot of abstract concepts, so I'm going to tell you a story. Storytelling time. You ready? For a story. I'm going to give you an example of an inspiration. There are a lot of inspiring leaders in our organization, but let's go out of my organization because you will complain I'm saying something for performance of price. Okay? Can you recognize this gentleman in this picture? Mr. Nelson Mandela. One of the greatest moral and political leaders of our time. Okay. You know, we all know that Nelson Mandela fought for the freedom of South Africa against a very bad thing, apartheid, you know, classifying people by their color and oppressing. We know all those things. I think everyone here should be knowing about Nelson Mandela, so I chose this example. You know, Mr. Nelson Mandela was in jail, we all know that. And this was the cause for which he went to jail, right? A very fair cause, he was in jail. But can you guess how long he was in jail? Maybe some of you know this. How long he was in jail?
27 years.
Oh, beautiful. This man he deserves, Mr. Shankar. You can take him for a quiz, part of your team. We will have FPC, FYPC quiz contest. FMC will also do that.
All right.
Good. 27 years. 27 years from 1963 to 1990. There's a reason why I'm saying this. 63 to 90. I was not even born when he went to jail. When he came out of jail, you have to trust that. But when he came out of jail, I was already in a LAB business working in a plant. Why I'm saying this is, can you see the amount of time he lost during his prime age? I don't know, maybe he was in the high 20s and came out in the 50s. I don't know. Amount of sacrifice. More than anything else, and he was in the jail, and this prison was in Robben Island. It's in South Africa. It's an island much below South. It's part of South Africa, somewhere there. A very horrible place, ghostly place. Okay. Even ghosts won't go there. And this man was tortured. He was there for 27 years. I mean, if you go on, you should read about Nelson Mandela if you want to really be inspired about leadership. Okay. Watch his movie. Very good movie. He was there and he was tortured. Tortured physically, mentally, psychologically. Because the government, the British, who were the oppressors, they had a strategy to get this guy killed somehow. Let him commit suicide. The laws did not allow them to murder him at that point in time. Thankfully, there was some justice. Like, he will be in the jail. He was A, B, C, D, different grades. Huh? And this guy is a political prisoner. They put him under D grade. Means it is just a small place like this. You know, he's a tall man. They gave him some 8 by 10 feet or lesser than that. He had to sleep on the floor for 27 years. Okay, it used to be very cold. Just a blanket, that's it. And he no connection with his family. He can receive one letter in 6 months. And this letter will be censored. I'm spending some time here. You know, and they will, in some letters, hello Madiba, thank you. There will be nothing. Once in 6 months. Can you imagine how a human being can be? He will be isolated from this. His son was killed in an accident, road accident. He could not go. He could not even see. He never saw. Not only that, you know, they will make him do all kinds of bad things in the prison. Mentally, not only mentally, even physically torture. They will take him outside the prison, ask him to work in a quarry limestone quarry just to break stones. From morning, I don't know, full, but 12 hours, he will be breaking stones in a limestone quarry. And sometimes they even ask him to dig a grave. Grave. You may be wondering why he was digging a grave. They were not burying anybody else. They will ask him to sleep, lie down in that. After he digs his own grave, they will ask him to lie down there. And all his prison guards under restrictions will stand around him. They will urinate on him. And this man would just close his eyes and think of only one thing. I want to see a free Republic of South Africa one day. I don't want to be, they are trying to make me angry. I don't want to become angry. I don't want to become emotional. My purpose is large. I have to be somewhere else. I'm doing it for my people. It was Nelson Mandela. And finally, when he, okay, fast forward, he came out of the prison. He won the election and he became the president of South Africa. And here's the point. This is clear the message for all of us. When he became the president, he invited many of those prison guards, captains, most of them whites, and even the lawyers who put him under those punishments for the coffee meeting with the president after his version. And all his people were naturally upset, his own men and women. Madiba, they used to call him Madiba means the great father. Madiba, what are you doing? Have you gone crazy? Why do you want to invite these guys who tortured you so badly? You know what he said? Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not accept them, if you do not let me accept them, you will be fighting against what I fought for. What did I fight for? I fought for freedom, right? Freedom, this is the key message. Freedom not only for the people who were oppressed, even for the people who are the oppressors. I was living inside a prison. Many of you were inside a prison, a physical prison. But all these guys were in a mental prison of hatred, narrow-mindedness, and deceit. Because they were forced to think like that. And they are also not enjoying, they are also suffering. And freedom means the capability to be free for everyone. When we are going to be free, if they are not going to be free, there is no freedom. We cannot enjoy practice of freedom fairly. If you do not accept them, if you don't let me accept them, I will live inside my mental prison for many long years. What do you want me to do? Thank you, Madhva. We agree. This is inspiration. Of course, I'm not asking you to become a Nelson Mandela and go to jail. Yeah. But you know, this is inspiration. This is thinking beyond simple, logical vengeance. Madiba was the president. Madiba is Nelson Mandela. He was the president. He could have used his authority and power. No, guys, I am allowing them. No. But he painfully explained to his team members all this. So he inspired them. So we need to inspire. We need to use that influential, inspiring power as leaders. You are whatever small team, between your team members. Then we are practicing leadership. So therefore the sum up of this section, leadership is a process, Peter Drucker said, right? It's about influence, inspiration. It's not authority or power. And leadership all the ways. Downwards, upwards, with your peers. With your peers, very, very important. Abu Dhafar talked about engagement. Engagement is with your peers mostly. And even for leaders, you have to engage with your team members. Maybe he's having a bad day, or there's a problem, or this guy doesn't understand. I can't say she doesn't understand because we are only he organization so far. Inshallah that there'll be a he and she organization after some time. But he needs help. Or maybe sometimes young guys make mistakes. We will talk about it a little later. So you need to look at the process, help them understand. Only then the engagement can be real engagement. The word is engagement. Okay? So that is about the traditional concept of leadership. We discussed about the traditional concept of leadership. I'm going to take you into a little quick journey of a modern concept of leadership. Any questions before that?
Before that, Jerry, I think the common word between the two definitions is influence.
Exactly. You will see, I'm going to, exactly, thank you about that. Thanks for reminding me of that. The com is influence. You take any leadership definition, there will be influence. Peter Drucker is talking about influence. Ralph Smedley is also talking about influence. We are going to see what Robin Sharma says, okay? Which is a modern concept. Leadership in a modern day's world, today's world. And we are all old people. We're all young guys. What are the modern coaches, global coaches of leadership talking about? Any question before we go in? This will be a quick section, but hopefully interesting session. Are you all staying alive?
Yes.
You need more energy? Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the great gentleman, Mr. Robin Sharma. How many of you know about Robin Sharma? I think many of you don't know him. Please Google and find out about Robin Sharma. Robin Sharma lives in the place where Hussam and Hammam studied, Canada. Okay? And one of the highly acclaimed leadership and personal mastery coach. The person who has come up with the leadership 2.0 definitions. A lot of them. He's very popular. I had the opportunity to be coached in his personal mastery academy. I had attended in Toronto times, and even today I'm online with him. And he's got millions of mentees. You have to, of course, pay for it. It's quite expensive, but it's very valuable, very good. I mean, you start practicing, when you start practicing the concept, when you start thinking about those concepts, you will enjoy your everyday. Okay? However long we live in this world, we live for a short while, right? We have to enjoy and add value to ourselves every day. That is his primary thing. And he is a modern day leadership coach. And I'm just going to share with you about what he thinks on leadership. He says, leadership is not about your title. Leadership is not about having any formal authority. Leadership is not the size of your office. Leadership is not whether you are a section head or a superintendent or a manager or a general manager or a CEO. No, it's not really. It's got nothing to do with leadership. Leadership is a way of being. Abudafar was saying in the beginning. He says the same thing. Leadership is a way of being. Leadership is a way of operating through your everyday. Leadership is a mindset. Leadership, and this is the border. You don't, in those days you had to be a prime minister or a president or whatever to be known as a leader. Okay? But you know what he says, look at what he says about leadership. If you are a breathing human being, this is the modern day, you can be a leader. Okay? You not only have the opportunity to be a leader, Shankar, but you have the responsibility to be a leader. This applies to every one of us. Everyone in this room. You not only, because we are all in Farabi, you not only have the opportunity, but you have the responsibility to be a leader and show your leadership every day. The process of influence every day. Otherwise, we are all becoming vegetables. Right? We don't want to do it, right? Okay. And look at what he is also saying. You cannot be a better leader than the human being that you are. What does it mean? There is no holiday for leadership. You cannot choose to be a leader from Sunday to Thursday, and Friday, Saturday, no leadership. Alas, today I'm not leader. That's not possible. You have to be a leader all the way. Not only in your work, not only in your social environment, not only in your community, not only in your family, even the way you think about yourself, Salah, you have to be a leader. And you have the responsibility to be a leader. Then you will start seeing different perspectives. You will start thinking differently. You start thinking clearly about life. Okay? That is the beauty of modern day leadership. You don't need a title to be a leader. Okay? Mr. Abu Dhafar they call him a CEO with your permission, Abu Dhafar. But I think he's our CIO, in my opinion. What is CIO? Chief Inspirational Officer. Okay? You have to be, and every one of us has the opportunity to be a chief inspirational officer of our own life and the people around us. And how do we develop that? I'm going to share 4 protocols of about many. He's a genius. He's like a spring. It overflows. He's a wonderful guy. But I'm going to share with you 4 tips that he shares. Okay? One is to practice modern day concept of leadership. Number 1, to have or install the mindset to lead without a title. Install the mindset in you to lead without a title. I'm going to take away your title. We are going to take away your product manager title. And then see how best you're going to perform. But how do you do that? How do you lead? Now, it is, if you really ask me, it is just a way of thinking. It's an approach. Okay? It's an approach. No matter what you do in your life, no matter what you do at your work, no matter where you are stationed in your life, you have a choice. You have only 2 choices. You can either think like a victim, and always keep complaining, that's not working, that's not happening, he is not cooperating, procurement is not cooperating, logistics guys, the sales guys are bad, or production guys. You have the choice to complain and be a victim, or you have the choice to be a leader. You don't get to be both. Okay? That's important. And again, think like, and have that mindset, and start practicing showing leadership not only at your work, not only in your community, not only in your family, even to yourself. Start showing that, practice showing leadership to yourself. And what happens, and when you start practicing it consistently with better practice breeds performance. Then you will automatically start developing that mindset. You will see, you will progress. People around you are going to see you differently. Okay. You have the choice, not somebody else. So that is number 1. Is this concept clear to you? Number 2, the job of a leader, you are all leaders, is to develop more leaders. The number 1 responsibility of a leader is to develop more leaders. And if you are a leader and if you are not developing leaders faster than your peers, then you are a follower. You are not a leader. If Sabik or Sipkim or Tasniyat are developing more and more leaders, real leaders, it's not titles, real leaders, then you are not a leader, you are a follower. You will be in trouble. And as a leader, yes, you will be, leadership means a lot of responsibility. Abu Faris is looking at me. I have a lot of, I have LAB goals, LAB sales goals to be achieved. I have to satisfy unity. I have to perform logistics. I have to achieve logistics targets. I have to work on the government relationship. Yes, as a leader, you will be required to be productive. You will be required to contribute. You will be required to be creative. But still, you need to find time to develop leaders at your work. How do you develop leaders at your work? Any example? Inspired, yes, but how? I'm talking about in metric terms, how do you develop leaders? Yes, we have a lot of programs, talent management, we have future leaders development programs, we have PDPs. PDP is more of functional, okay, talent management, and now we have bulletproof, okay, that is also one of the actions. But whether you attend or not, as a person, as every one of you here, has an opportunity to develop leaders at your work. How do you develop? I know some of you are doing it. Engagement, yes.
Delegate and empower.
Delegate and empower, very good. But sometimes delegation is right. I think sometimes delegation is not practiced well. Delegation without engagement can be disaster. Okay, so we have to separately talk about delegation. Yes, by collaborating with the people around you. By role modeling, giving them success models. If Hussam has done the commissioning of his plant so beautifully, on target, on time, with zero quality, probably there has to be a review meeting at the end of meeting, I'm sure you had all those meetings. He's going to share what we did, how I thought, how I did, and What if you have to do, how you can do? What do you think? How you, these are all collaborations. Yeah, this is one way of developing. There are so many mentoring. Now we have a mentoring. There's a mentoring program in Farabri. You can be your own mentors of your own deputies, and celebrating the success of your people. You've done a great job. For example, any one of your team members does a great job. Advertise them, celebrate them, make them feel great. Cut a cake. That's when they are going to be more charged. So you're going to be constantly developing. We'll talk a little more about coaching and things coming later on with the case study. So the job of number 2, job of a leader is to create more leaders. Point number 3 from Robin Sharma. This is a very important point because there are some stories here. Install the 3I protocol. Protocol is nothing but just thinking tools, the way we think. Okay? It's a practice. The word is a big word, just a practice. Install the 3I practice in you. What are the 3 I's? 1 I we already talked about, or 2 I's. One is inspiration, influence, and impact. We talked about the power of inspiration. As a leader, you have to be inspiring. You have to stay inspired and be inspiring. That's definitely, we cannot sustain to grow as a leader if we don't have this capability to inspire. But to inspire, you don't have to speak, by the way. The way you do things, the way you organize yourself, people see you as a role model. That's inspiration. And time for the next story, Mr. Steve Jobs, right? What is your opinion about Steve Jobs? Visionary. What else? I'm just testing.
An inspiration.
All of us are using Steve Jobs, his phone. Sorry?
He's an inspiration.
It's an inspiration,
A lot of many things.
He's an inspiration. He's a role model, example, for so many things. But Steve Jobs was a very, very difficult guy to work with. Yes, he was a very nasty leader. He will not tolerate non-performance. Okay, but he is such a great genius. He's an artist. He's an artist more than an engineer or a technical thing. He was an artist. He was a tough leader, nasty leader to work with. He has a reputation of firing people when he was on the elevator. He asks them certain things they don't know. When they get out of the elevator, you can go home. You're fired. In US, okay? He did all these things. And still, if you have to ask, by the way, you can Google it and find out. If you have to go and ask most of the ex-Apple employees or the current employees, who was the most inspirational leader that they worked with? 95% are going to say Steve Jobs. He was such an inspiration. He believed, and he believed that this can be, he does a lot of research, and when he says this can be done, he gets it done. He gets his team to do it. And by making them believe in it, that was the power. That was the thinking. That was the protocol that he had. When Steve Jobs, this is the story part. Steve Jobs was a kid. Somewhere, I think he was in the teenager. His dad, I don't know if you have read about the story. His dad asks him one day, Steve, go and paint the fence at home. He says, Dad, I will do it, no problem. He carries the paint, goes out, and then he does the painting. Comes back, Dad, I'm done. His dad walks outside, looks at the fence. Steve, you've done a great job. Thank you. But you only painted the outside of the fence. What about the inside? And Steve asks, Dad, who is going to look at the inside? His father says, we will, son. We will look at the inside. You better get it done. And then Steve does it. Okay? Now fast forward, maybe a couple of decades. Steve Jobs, as the CIO of his company, or CEO, is addressing his technologies, launching the design of the Apple Macintosh computer. I don't know if you remember, Apple Macintosh, the first computer they launched. And this was the final address that he had to his design team. Gentlemen and ladies, I don't know what you will do. This computer has to be very different from the rest of the marketplace. It has to look so elegant and simple from the outside, which it is. But here's the key message. On the inside, it should be so beautiful that it should bring tears in the eyes of its user. It should bring tears in the eyes of its user. You know, engineers, we are all one family, right? Steve, what is this? Who is going to look at the inside? He says, we will. We will make sure the inside is so beautiful that it is going to give a great experience to this customer and we will stand out in the marketplace. When they finish the final design of that microprocessor, which is inside the computer, whatever name that we have, the first prototype of he made all of them sign in it. You can Google it and find out. That is inspiration. Okay? Be an inspiring leader if you have to influence your people very strongly. And they're going to be, and for which you need to be on top of your game. You need to be well read. You need to be practicing leadership processes. You need to be, don't come into the workplace. Don't look at your job just as a job. Look at your job as an for you to create a mastery and improve and uplift people around you. It's not, of course, you will get your salary, you will get your promotions, but this feeling will be great. Okay, this sense of satisfaction. And you are also adding value to yourself. Huh? You are adding people. The market is hunting for people with this organization. We are going to have so much of growth. So much of growth. We need future leaders. So don't look at your job as a job. Look at it as a job as an opportunity to create a mastery. Bring tears in the eyes of your customers. Not crying, make them happy. Happy tears, okay? And number two is influence. We talked about influence. This is John Maxwell, another modern day leadership coach. I recommend you look at his videos, read his books. Please develop reading habits. We'll talk about it later. But you should, as a leader, you should be able to influence your people. And how do you influence your people? The way you do things. I don't know how many of you observed. I'm going to pull one gentleman here, our CEO. Mr. Abudafar influences people. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you think he is an influence? Take Abudafar. They're all scared. They want to do only nice things. They're thinking, what is the nice thing I will tell about Abudafar? Otherwise, he's going to fire me. Nicest thing.
You selected the bad example. You should go on.
No. Any quick answers? Otherwise, I'm going to give an answer.
A role model of excellence.
The role model of excellence. How exactly? How exactly? Give me one. There are many. Okay, there has to be, someone. I'm not saying this for this. Someone being a CEO at this level of a $2.7 billion real business cannot be this level. Yes, please.
They drive the business. Alhamdulillah.
The way he drives the business. Okay. Good. Yes.
Actually, in Dubai,
Here also.
we were firing this light oil.
Light oil.
Yeah. Once Abu Dhabi joined,
He started selling.
he told, no, we can sell this, we can market this.
Good. Yes, definitely he said. This is a specific example, and this gentleman sitting here, he found a market, Mother Faris. But the way, again, we should not make him very uncomfortable. For example, he comes when he's on time, meeting starts on time. He's merciless. Maybe, I don't know, you learned it from your leaders, I don't know, from your leaders. If it's 3 p.m., sharp, it starts meeting. And time is time. He's so organized. See, that is one example. We have to let him be free. I don't want to. He's a very modest person. But the way you think, the way you do things, the way you organize yourself, the way you connect with your people, with your mindset. If you're a good speaker, with the precision of your language, the way you communicate, not English, maybe beautiful Arabic, whatever language, the way you talk to your people, the warmth that the way you even look at your people, the smile at them, okay, that is influence. You have to be influential. You have no choice as a leader. You cannot be a leader sitting inside your room. We are going to talk a little more about it. You cannot work be an effective leader if you choose to operate in silos. Okay? Third one, this is again a very powerful protocol that you need to practice and develop. As a leader, you have to be impactful. You have to create impact. And what is impact? Less talk, more do. Execution. Getting things done. Okay? You cannot say, I want to do this. Like for us, we had the choice, we want to expand. We want to expand. We want to expand. But we expanded, and we're still expanding, growing, diversifying. These are all executions. When you create executions, when you make executions on the ground possible, that is the best evidence of your leadership. And that is going to create a massive impact in the minds of people. They start believing in you. So look, this is Robin Sharma's statement, what is written behind. The extent of the impact that you can cause with the people around you depends on the size of your commitment to your purpose. There's a lot of words. The extent of the impact that you can cause on the people around you, or the system around you, depends on your purpose and the commitment to your purpose. That is the message. Now we are seeing a great leader here on the picture, the Crown Prince. Now everybody gets to play a role, a position. There's an opportunity, but some people make big difference, big impacts, right? That is the opportunity you have. And everybody, yesterday there was a question, everybody was in LAB business, why did they not expand? We did, we believed. We believed in execution, right execution, timely execution, efficient execution. That is impact. Be committed to creating impacts, okay? Somebody is thinking differently about this country, for the future of this country. TheLine.com. Have you seen the video? The Line project. That is vision. And vision, and not only just vision, I think there is already a lot of actions on the ground, lot of activities taking place, a lot of technology is being brought into that system. Okay, it's going to be a play, I think 175 kilometers. I think you guys know better than me. And no road, no cars, tubular train. You have to just walk from only inside green forest. You have to just walk from your green place. The whole world is watching. If it gets materialized, can you imagine the kind of impact it is going to create, not only in the region, in the whole world? Okay. That is, and I hear from Abu Dhabi again, the way the government machinery is working is changing these days. You guys know better than me again. I think we used to chase the government for certain clearances forever, for customs clearance. Today, Deputy Minister is calling us. How is it possible? How is it possible? Leadership, right? Leadership, impactful leadership. So the extent of the impact we can create on the world around us depends on the size of our commitment to our objectives and our mission. That is a very important leadership quality. The final, fourth, I have shared with you, one is to lead without a mindset. And second one is job of a leader, create more leaders. There is only one man answering. And the third one is? Three I's. What are the three I's? Inspire, influence, and impact. Thank you. The final one here, he's among the many things, is building relationships. As a leader, it is so very important. We may be the best engineer, or the best accountant, or the best marketing guy. But we, as leaders, we have to develop these abilities and belief that we have to build relationships. Because we are here in a business. How do you build businesses? By building relationships. If you don't build relationships, you are not going to build businesses. You take any example, anywhere in this world, whether it is Jack Ma, whether it is Steve Jobs, whether it is the Jeff Bezos of Amazon, or any local leader. You have to connect. We have no escape from people in business. The business will not work on its own without all these relationships. I'm talking, not only I'm talking about relationship between GMs or managers, I'm talking about relationship, all the micro relationships. Leaders should be the catalyst to promote the culture on the importance of building relationships. Walk out of your office, go around, meet people, discuss with them. Now once in a while, we unfortunately, globally, we believe in, what is this? Email. This culture is, if you really think about, okay, email it's a technology that came into human advancement, but emails are being misused. If you really think deeply about emails, yes, emails are important, they are records. We need to have emails. I'm not saying we should not work without emails. But instead of picking up the phone and talking, you choose to send an email. What are we doing there? You're not doing it intentionally, but psychologically you're driven to do. What are we doing there? Instead of picking up the phone, the person in this ground floor will be sending an email to the person on the first floor. It happens, right?
Yes.
Maybe the next room, the guy sitting on the other side of the desk, we send.
Documentation.
Documentation is one thing you can create, but
No.
yeah,
People they do this one just to document.
I want to be safe. I want to ensure my seat.
But
right?
there is no trust.
Not trust. Beautiful. What else? Beautiful. Thanks, sir. It's HR. What else? Why this email? If you really think deeply, psychologically, Hamam is laughing. Maybe Ali is joking. Okay. Why do you send this email?
Avoid live interaction.
Avoid. Beautiful. I think that's why he's acting chief. Please, he deserves an applause. That's the right answer. I mean, we want to avoid active interaction. And this is my view. And we spend, maybe some guys, the way some people with this, when you see, they must have spent 1 hour in sending the email. They could have just picked up the phone and talked, which again, our Abu Dhafar keeps on saying this. Some people insist, no, I will not talk, I will just work on email. This is, psychologically, we are not comfortable in interacting and hearing the views of somebody else during the live interaction, which you talked about. So I choose to send my views. That's it. And I put some words inside that. That is all the, masala? Indian word. We add some masala. And this guy, he looks at the masala. Oh my God, I have to send him I will send you a Saudi dynamite, not masala. Okay? Then it becomes a war, right? But you have to build relationships. It's inefficiency, gentlemen, right? Business models, we talked about Farabi expanded so many times, right? And any project, how do we design this part of relationships, just to keep you in the context? How do you decide on building a project? Akram, finance. What is the business model? Indicate. Are all engineers here? Okay. What do you look at when you want to build a business? I want to build LAB4. Let's talk about LAB. Yesterday, Abu Dhafar told us that we are going for LAB4, right? Yes, sir. So how do we decide the business model for LAB4? Shankar, what do you look at? Just no right, no wrong answers. Come on. Anything you say, I will say it's right.
The feasibility.
Feasibility. What do you think in feasibility? We look at market opportunity, project scope, feedstock, technology, utilities, environment, EPC strategy. KG will come in here. Marketing, we guys have to break our heads. Funding, okay, and project returns. And what are the indicators? We look at contribution, EBITDA, operating profit, net profit, IRR, NPV, right? Anything else? These are all the indicators that will drive the feasibility of a business or a business model. Agree, Arvind? Do you agree? It will make it work. That is what we believe in, that's what we go in. But can this happen when there is no business chemistry between the team and provide this kind of IRR and ROI and NPV or EBITDA and operating profit? If you become inefficient, there is no name of departments here, just team A, team B. there are different functions which are handling various responsibilities in an organization, right? Contracts, cost optimization, quality. I'm giving a different name. I don't want to call this manufacturing, operations, maintenance, reliability, or different. All of us have different responsibilities as professional leaders to lead our team. Ultimately, it's a business goal. So that it works like this, is like a laminar flow for chemical engineers, okay? We are expected to produce a laminar flow condition of the business so that we hit the bullseye of our business goal, right? And so that the top management committee can look at other strategic thinking areas. What else we need to do? How do we, yesterday somebody was asking about product substitution. Can we, if something happens to LAB, something happens to paraffins, so that they need to spend quality time. But if the flow is laminar, but when the flow becomes turbulent, what happens? The top management has to spend all its time here. Not only that, the organization has to spend. As managers, you will be working your time here instead of flowing like this. Internal competition, rivalry, confusion, emails, we flood the organization with emails. So for business models, if you really ask me, as per Robin Sharma, for business models cannot work without business chemistry. We are failing the trust and faith placed on us by the shareholders, investors, our management, even our own family. They are sending you to work for a business where the business will thrive and perform well so that you will get promotions, growth, and you will become a future CEO. Okay? If we don't work with business chemistries, these business models will become unviable. There are a lot of companies in which this has been proven. Many organizations, many profit-making companies have been destroyed because of business chemistry issues. We should, I think as leaders, we will be failing in our duty if we don't play a role in establishing good business chemistry. Summary of Robin Sharma: leadership is a mindset. Job of a leader is to develop more leaders. We should install the 3I protocol. And what else? Finally, I talked about 4. Relationship. Beautiful. You are all listening. At least many of you are listening. Business models will not work without business chemistries. Now, we looked at basic definitions of leadership. We looked at Robin Sharma's facilitation of modern day thinking of leadership. We talked about 4 protocols in there. I'm going to quickly cover this section and maybe we will take a 10 minutes break. Is that okay with that? I'll try to. This is leadership in an organization context. Okay? Here, question answer time, gentlemen. Be ready. I might choose to call any one of you. You know, again, Peter Drucker. I'm falling back on Peter Drucker, who's a great organizational leadership guru. Okay? And he says, there are only 3 things that occur naturally in any organization. Can you tell me what are the 3 things? Like what he said. I know we will not be exactly saying what he said, but let's try to pick his mind. Let's try. Only 3 things happen naturally in any organization. What are those 3 things? Change. Very good. You're a very nice man. What else?
Conflict.
See, he's from Peter Drucker School. He's already knowing that. Ali, right? You have to, there's a leader in the making. You have to spot him. Ali, what are you doing? What do you do? What is
acting maintenance superintendent.
Great. Yes, conflict. Anything else?
Apparently only conflict.
Only conflict. he is the future leadership guru. Next class he is going to take. Okay. What else? 3 things that happen in any organization. Naturally it happens, occurs. When you forget about organization, put 30 people inside this room for half a day or 1 day. Miscommunication. Argument, wonderful. See, now you are coming alive. What else? This is Peter Drucker was thinking about it for us long back, 100 years ago. What else?
Jealousy.
Jealousy, beautiful. All fantastic virtues we are talking about.
Naturally, there will be one who stands out or multiple, and that would create a conflict or groups.
Groups. Okay, groupism, yeah, politics, correct. So okay, let's look at what he says, okay? Number one is friction, naturally, it's a conflict. Second one is confusion. And third one is underperformance. Everything else requires leadership. Okay? These are the three things that will naturally occur in any organization. So don't be surprised or shocked that these things are there. They are there everywhere. From the deep African continent, organization in the deep African continent, all the way to Silicon Valley. These things are there. These are reality. But this is the job of leadership to make sure these things are very effectively managed. That is our job. The job of a leader is to make sure these things are managed well. And let's look at quickly the reasons. As engineers, I've just put some. What are the reasons for friction? Why friction does happen in an organization? Competition. Strong internal rivalry, competition, perceived. People are on some people, they're always in a race with others. I'm here, I have to be better, I have to prove, when Abu Dhafar is there in a meeting, I have to impress. I have the best KPIs. I don't care about Farabi KPI. My KPIs should be the best. I am the one who thinks. In front of, I'm pulling Abu Dhafar so much, let me start pulling Abu Hatim. Let me try to impress Abu Hatim. And I have to prove these people wrong. It is competition. We don't work to fixed mindset. Okay. People, why do people have fixed mindset? We are going to talk about it in a case study, but why do people have fixed mindset? Very simple terms.
There is always resistance to change.
Resistance to change. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes. Resistance to change. That's definitely one of the main reasons. But
Thinking that he would be right if he doesn't change his mind. Just that flexibility wouldn't be there. Okay, change is a weakness, he might think.
that's what he thinks. Let me give it a slightly different language, Ali, on what you're saying. Beautiful. I mean, they don't want to be proven wrong. You said right. But the people with fixed mindset are actually scared people. If you really see, if you open up their mind through a psychologist, they have internal fears. They don't want to fail. They think failing is, that's it. We are not failing here and we are going to jail like Nelson Mandela. We are learning. People with fixed mindset. Okay, there are not, I don't know, it's not one person by the way. Every one of us has certain part of our brain with which promotes this fixed mindset tendency. Fixed mindset. Third one is ego. We all have. I am the manager of operations. I'm sorry, operation managers are nice guys. I am so and so. I am this. I come from here. I am a big guy. I came from this university. And we just pump up our ego. And why should I listen to you? Sometimes the best lessons in your life are taught by someone who is cleaning the floor. I have learned lessons from them, by the way. I think all of us do. Ego. Ego is nothing but your scared internal self. Don't listen to the noises of your ego. We are all here to learn together, produce and perform together. That should keep the ego away. If you start listening to the voices of your ego, you are going to be a slave of your ego. You will never come out of it in your life. The sooner we get out of it is better. Okay? So, the primary causes for this, you understand that we are all practicing it is competition, fixed mindset, and ego. Individual goals or organizational goals, we understand, we talked about it. Personalizing issues and insecurity. Personalizing issues. Do you see this in meetings? Be honest. No, again, everything about no rating. Any views, anybody saying no rating, please don't uprise anyone. Someone, do you see this in meetings? Personalizing issues. Can you give me an example, any one of you? Any manager, anyone can speak Give me an example of how a meeting becomes unproductive or inefficient because people personalize issues. Don't mention names, please. What we see in our organization, in our business, and what we need to improve. I guarantee you, this time Ali will not answer. I guarantee you, nothing will happen to you. You're all brave guys, I know that. Personalizing issues. Yes, Hafiz.
I told him he did not do that.
I told him he did not do it. Okay, okay, yes. But personalizing, little more. Money, can you explain?
Yeah, actually, typically,
Can you be louder?
typically people say that, you know, this person always like that.
This is exactly, thank you.
We have seen many things.
Thank you. I think you are the most experienced person in this. I think we personalize. Sometimes, people say something in their own style, and they have their background. They have a background of, it could be nationality, it could be where they grew up, in which organization they worked, or the languaging style, okay, could be. And we get offended and we carry opinion. Okay, this person is, let's use money as an example. If money gets into a meeting, this guy will come and kill us all. We will make sure we will not listen to him. This is personalizing. Okay? There, probably money is bringing some nice ideas. Probably Shankar. Let me take Shankar is a very soft-faced gentleman. Forget it. Akram. I'll take Akram. Akram sometimes is he can be very forthright with these expressions. But if I carry an opinion that Akram is, let's make sure I don't listen to this guy. I don't encounter this guy. Then we can be unproductive. We are here to learn from each other. Everyone has a perspective. Everyone has a viewpoint. Maybe he has a point. We have to listen. And the problem is we don't listen. We will talk about it later. And other one is insecurity. This is very much I want to focus for leaders. Insecurity. I mean, the leader's mind should never feel insecure. They're not there to sit and justify that I'm a leader, therefore I have to do this. I'm a leader, I have to do this. So, as a leader, you are not a magician who needs to have answers for all the problems. Okay? But you need to be able to identify the right people, right teams, and promote the right process and right culture so that you bring the best solution. That is leadership. You are not here. No, man, don't speak. I am GM. Please listen to me. That's not leadership. Sorry, I'm using the names of GMs. Anybody else. Don't get. There's no personal goals here. Okay. Superintendent. No, I'm the superintendent. No. You have to listen and let people talk, share their opinions. Sometimes the best form of leadership is active listening. You can participate extensively in a meeting by not speaking a word. Mr. Nelson Mandela did that. He was the last one to speak, always in any meetings of his team members. And he said, by doing that, I am achieving two things. I am making everyone else feel that they are contributing. And number two, maybe somebody has got a better idea than I do. So he will be the last person to speak. Insecurity in leadership will push you to speak something. Don't do that, okay? I'm spending time here. Let me jump to the next one. And having a predetermined mindset. This is similar to confusion. What are the reasons for confusion in an organization? According to Peter Drucker, there are two things: unclear processes and unclear communication. These are typical reasons for confusion in any organization. Today we are sitting here and engaged. Yesterday we engaged. Because we don't want confusion. We want you to give you a clear view about the future. We want to give you a clear idea about our products, the opportunities for every one of us in Farabhi. Okay. This is communication, engagement. These two things are typical reasons for confusion. And unclear processes, I'm going to give you an example. Having the processes and having a common understanding of the processes are two different things. Do you agree with me? Having a process, there's a lot of maybe words. Having a process and having a common understanding of the process. Take some FIMS process, for example. Or I will even take a performance appraisal. All of you are appraising somebody here in this room, right? Is there anyone who is not appraising anyone at all here? There's one gentleman. Okay, okay, fine. But majority of you are exposed to performance appraisal process. Okay? There's a clear process. How we call someone as good, how we call someone as very good or excellent. Okay? When we appraise. Is it consistent? We have a process. You're all seeing the results sometimes. I mean, as the section, I think some of the results do come. You see, get to see them. Somebody says everyone is excellent. Or majority, excellent is someone who has done something exceptional, outside his job, something extraordinary to this organization or the business. That is excellent. Somebody else, he's a nice guy, he smiles, he's very friendly, excellent. He doesn't disturb me, very good. He answers all my questions without resisting anything, very good. So this is one example, you need to have a clear understanding, and we do performance appraisal, orientation, training, discussion, forms, resources are available. Having a common process is so very important. Otherwise it will create confusion. And communication, unclear communication. We talked about communication. We talked already a lot about communication. I will not spend much time here. We need to, as leaders, we need to believe that connection is our responsibility. We need to make sure there is enough connection in this organization. It's very, very important. And don't use formality as a shield. Email is a formality. Walk out of here, go there, Sometimes, let's say, it's even at the working levels, you said that one guy asks, let's say, technical service person wants something from you, from the operations. You're sending an email. Answer is provided. Once in a while, just walk to after sending the email, walk to his room. Khalid, are you convinced with my answer? Do you think I have to give you something more? Does it make sense to you? Walk to his room, talk to him. Not every day, once in a while. That will make him believe you more, trust you more, find you more easy to interact with. These are all communication. These are all connection issues. Okay? We have, as human beings, we have this inertia in us. We have this tendency, why should I go and talk to him? Why should I greet him first? Let him greet me first. This kind of let us not allow these tendencies to spoil us, not as employees of our, even as a human being. Okay, communication is very, very important. Listening. We can do a workshop only on listening. It takes huge effort, sincerity, and zero attachment to listen to someone. I just want to focus on this line. Why I'm saying? Of course, you have to be sincere to listen. And what is zero attachment? I go into a discussion, let's say with Mehdi, and I have, let's say, there is a constructive conflict. He is saying something and I am saying something else. I have a different viewpoint, he has a different viewpoint. I should not, when I start listening to Mehdi or Abu Hamza, I should not think that the decision should be, no, how can I reject what he says? That automatically says in our mind. That is an attachment. You are attached to an output. When you are listening to someone, don't be attached to an output. And it happens to all of us. It happens to me, by the way. As human beings, that is how we are brought up. We want our ends to be somehow met. But don't have an attachment. Listen to what he says. Does it make sense? Does it make better sense? Then, okay, I think you have a point, Mehdi. But please also hear me out. But I appreciate you're having a different viewpoint. Use these constructive languages. But our ideas of listening mostly, okay, did you finish? Did you finish what you have to say? Yes, I finished. If you are listening, you will know I had finished. Okay, now let me tell you what I think. This is not listening. Active listening. You have to have active, sincere, zero attachment based mindset for listening. This is a profound concept. I'm telling you, as leaders, as practicing leaders, if you start practicing this concept profoundly once, I think it's going to produce great results. with your team members. Listen to them, and even with your peers. Your bosses have to listen to you sometimes. Maybe you don't agree with your boss. You have to walk in and listen. Again, one great example, two great, both Abu Dhafar and Abu Haddin, whom I talk to very often. Okay, no buttering, no performance advisor. They are very good listeners. There is no emotional attachment to the end. Sometimes I disagree with my boss, but I have to prove my point. Let me also give you another example. You have to trust. You have to, like in marketing organization. Sometimes, we take commercial decisions every day. While we are sitting now, Ali is selling paraffins. When we are sitting in the room, Abu Faris is selling LAP. How does it work? Well, we are spending half a day here. It's trust, communication, and listening. Somebody else is taking the decision. But we have to get the approval. CEO has to approve the prices. But we give the delegation. We trust them and we communicate. So these are all, zero attachment mindset is very, very important. Okay? And another final reason for this communication problem is with leaders. Leaders sometimes are too busy being busy. Leaders are too busy being busy. I am very busy. Kabuguru, I know I cannot see you today, and I keep my door closed. Many leaders, I'm talking about everyone, all of us, start working for our calendars. My calendar is full. Sorry, unfortunately, I don't have time. This calendar, you want to meet? You want to take a business decision? No, my calendar is full. Can we put it on Wednesday? We don't work for calendars. The calendars have to work for our businesses. And we have to make our calendars work for our business. We need to have this flexible, adaptive mindset as leaders to reprioritize it. Judge which one is very important. Set our priorities right. These are all part of the communication culture, organization culture. We should not believe in being too busy being busy. We should be busy being productive, creative from an organization perspective. Whenever we see this practiced by our professionals, we need to encourage, we need to discourage them. Please don't do this. Because habits, once formed, is difficult to change. Okay? Have you seen this? People busy with their calendars, not available for important meetings? Some nods, okay, I can understand. Thank you. So, and finally, underperformance. In this three things, friction, we talked about friction, confusion, finally underperformance. Why does underperformance happen in any organization? One is skill gaps. People don't have, and skill gaps can be fulfilled with, and other one is motivational gaps. Okay? Training, mentoring, and coaching. Okay? That is what we are supposed to do. Job of a leader is to make more leaders. Training, mentoring, and coaching. So that there is no underperformance. It's pure competence and training requirements. So I will not spend much time on that. But the other one is very important. Yes, motivational gaps in an organization happen due to, pardon me for this very technical word, it is systemic leadership gap. Systemic leadership gap. The absence of the why in an organization can create chaos. Big organizations, I don't want to name, you can imagine. There are a lot of big organizations in and around us, everywhere in this world. Sometimes the people there don't know why the organization is doing something that they are doing. They are being asked to do something. But if you ask them why they are doing it in that way, that style, they don't have an answer. Who is responsible for this? And that, then if you go, there will be an army under one leader. There will be another army and another leader. He will be doing something. They will be doing something else. If you ask them why you are doing that, they say, no, he asked me to do, so I am doing it. But why your organization is doing that? Unfortunately, we don't have it in Farabi. But we should not let it happen to us. Because the employees do not have an answer for the why. And who is responsible for this? Question. Leaders. Exactly, leaders. Leaders at different levels. Why care is a very critical driver. Yesterday we heard from CEO and others. There are a lot of messages where we want to go, why we are doing something that we are doing, why we want to expand, what we want, what level we want to reach in this business. And somebody talked about competition. Why we are better than the Chinese competition? Why do we think that we will be better than anybody else while somebody is failing? These are all important messages. And if organization wants to complete, let's say, a particular task in 10 months, and you normally think it will take 15 months. When you don't understand why the organization wants you to do it in 10 months, you will think they are crazy. Right? Have you seen people? Like, oh, management is pushing us. I don't know, management. This management is a beautiful jargon that we use to put the blame on something unknown in this world. Okay? Look at this why care. This is again Peter Drucker. Why care? I'll just quickly build this chart for you. Okay? When the management expectation comes very strongly with an interface with the middle management, typically managers or section heads or that team. Especially right now in this context, the team sitting here. Okay. Definitely there should be communication, there should be clarity from the top on why we want to do something that we want to do. Okay. And then the middle management here they become the ambassadors. They become the agents to carry that message influencingly and convincingly all across the organization, whichever section that they are handling. For which there has to be very good relationship and trust levels. If the relationship and trust has to be good, we have to do everything that we discussed before. And explain them. Because once that is there, that is sold to these people, the people below will stop thinking that the guys on top don't know what they are doing. Otherwise they think, if something, am I using too many words? Is it clear? They know that, but they should be convinced always, okay, as much as possible, that the management committee is talking sense, the organization is talking sense, the managers are talking sense. That needs, why care should be rightly driven. And it is not a one-time process. There has to be all these things, engagement. You need to engage. Then they get convinced. Then they carry your goals. Then the result, there will be organizational pride. My company wants to do this in a particular way. One team approach, productivity, sense of purpose. All these things are benefits. But what is very important is all these processes. I tried to simplify this chart. It was a very, very complicated chart. Engagement. What Abhudha perceived. That is the engagement is the glue that binds the culture of the organization. If we use engagement rightly, we will mold the culture of the organization in the direction that we want to create. If you don't use this glue, it will be like everybody will be in a different direction. You understand? Right? Then we will have a common culture, which is our goal, by the way. We want to have a common culture in Farabi's Management Committee. We are all committed to it. You are all our ambassadors for that. We have to get ready for tomorrow. As we said, we are on the mountain top. We cannot relax. How many of you watch tennis? Or at least seen tennis? Good. I have a lot of friends over there. We should have a tennis club here and there. We can play. Roger Federer. You know, Roger Federer has been the number one, not now, until a few years back. He was the number one for about 20 years, 15 or 20 years. He dominated the tennis system, and everyone loves him. He's such a classical player with a great personality, always smiling, never upset on the court. Amazing player. And there was an interview with him. Mr. Roger, you have been, tennis is a physically demanding game. This guy started so young, and in mid-30s, this guy is still world number one. And the guys in the early 20s are hitting very hard at 150 kilometers per hour. And he's playing. They ask him, how did you manage to sustain, or how are you managing to sustain all these years? You know what he said? I keep growing myself every day. Even though I am world number one, I need to work on myself every day to stay on top of the game. And I have to keep moving forward. Even though I am number one, I have to keep moving forward. Because standing at the same place means you are going backwards, because others are moving forward. Engagement is so very important, and developing a positive work culture is so important to keep moving forward. To sum up of this section, Business goals, not individual goals, to avoid all this friction, confusion, and underperformance. Clear processes and clear communications. Mentoring, and why care connect is what we do. Before we move to the case study, and if there are any questions, maybe we can take a 10 minutes break. Any questions? And again, before I move on to the next session, which is the Microsoft case study, the one thing I want to say, on the communication and the confusion part, which really leads to underperforming. Communication, confusion, and underperformance part, in which one of the areas I felt I did not touch, I moved a little fast, is the skill gaps. If there are skill gaps, before we delegate or we nominate or assign people for a task, I think it's a job of the leader to identify the skill set or capabilities set of the particular assignee to the position. That's very, very important. And sometimes we make mistakes. We assign people. Now we look at the heads. Okay, put this guy, put Abdul here, put Arvind here, put Ali here. Sometimes we try to fill people. Okay, it's okay for some temporary moment, but are they really capable? Are they really skillful? Do they have the exposure? Do they have the experience? That is very important. And sometimes we don't have the luxury of people. I do understand. But even when we assign such people, we need to follow up and make sure that they are trained, they are addressed. We need to spend time as leaders. 50% of our time as leaders, especially section head and above, I think managers and above, I think 50% of your time should be leaders development. Create more leaders. Make sure that they are, otherwise our business goals are going to be inefficient. Be showing empathy. Okay? So that is something I wanted to tell you. To fill up that. So far we looked at the basic definitions of leadership by Peter Drucker and Mr. Ralph C. Smedley, which is influence, social influence, and Ralph C. Smedley also influencing people. And we looked at Robin Sharma's 4 protocols: lead without a mindset,
Create more leaders.
three I's,
And communication.
build relationship. Good, beautiful. And leadership. What are the 3 things that occur naturally in organizations?
Friction, confusion, underperformance.
So happy there is no confusion on this. Okay. And rest all require leadership. And that's why we are all here. Otherwise, computers can connect, technologies can connect, and everything can connect. Leaders are here to manage the challenges. Now, I'm going to go into sharing with you. So far we talked about personal stories. We talked about Nelson Mandela, we talked about Steve Jobs. Here I will try to share with you the story of Microsoft Corporation. A giant, we all know, but I think there's no human being who can be alive in this world who doesn't know Microsoft Corporation. It touches so many lives today. Such a mighty corporation, massive global corporation. As of today, I think they are number 2 in the world in terms of market capitalization. Okay. And they went through some tremendous problems, major crises also, I would say. They were almost on a waning phase. So we will talk about it. And a leader who comes and takes over and starts stewarding and leading this organization, how he infused a cultural change. Okay, the Wall Street journals call it as this person infused a seismic cultural shift. You understand seismic, drastic change. That's went rocking through Microsoft and saved Microsoft and reinvented Microsoft. We are going to look at the case study. And listen to this case, listen to the story, and feel free to interact. Mr. Satya Nadella is the leader. He is the current CEO of Microsoft Corporation, a globally acclaimed leader. He was born and did his basic schooling and undergrad in India, but he moved to US for his further graduation and post-graduation. He worked at Microsoft for 24 years before he became a CEO. And you see from whom he took over. He took over from Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer, 2 great inventors, leaders, very aggressive leaders, great inventors. Bill Gates, even though he's the founder, chairman of the company, founder, president, CEO of the company, he's still the technical advisor. He's the of Microsoft. He was running for a while, the company. Then Steve Ballmer. In 2014, Satya Nadella takes over from this proud lineage of leaders. And 2014, when he takes over the company, as I told you, Microsoft was struggling. Yes, Microsoft was very much struggling. We don't get to see these things where the Wall Streets and the Silicon Valley journals were writing of Microsoft as a company which is on the sunset, a company which is declining. Okay, why did they feel so? Of course, they had 120,000 employees, 2014, and more than 100 countries operation. Even at the time, 2014 market capitalization, which is the share value is $350 billion, and they were making a lot of money. Microsoft, sorry, they were making a lot of money in 2014, but on the business side, the technology industry was shifting from desktop to smartphones, from Microsoft Office to iPhones of Apple, and Android from Google, drastically shifting. So the prospects, the customers, market share, market is changing. Not only that, the market channels were changing, right? People, Microsoft, if you remember, originally there's stores, distributors, we have to go to the Jerry's or so-called whatever and buy. But with the advent of iPhone and others, it was all app-driven, direct online purchase of the customers. Everything was drastically changing. And they were totally written off. I think they don't have any new products. So they were slowly shifting. Microsoft was thinking about artificial intelligence and cloud-based models, to shift from the client-based models to cloud-based models, where everything, all the gross margins, everything were different. He was having a big host of problems on the business side, and he's taken over. Satya Nadella was not just like that chosen. They were looked at so many other people, and finally he was chosen outside even from Microsoft. But the bigger problem which Microsoft faced was the huge internal rivalry, and it was becoming a hive. It's written, Microsoft was becoming a hive of corporate infighting, because there are more than 100 countries. There were 18,000 managers at that point. I think still there are quite a big number. 18,000 managers. The CEO will not know who are the managers, and a lot of executives. And in 2011, even before Satya took over, there was a cartoon published in entire news. And someone from Google had drawn this cartoon, which is the Microsoft organization. And this is what the organization looked like, a beautiful organization structure. Can you see this? Is it visible? So you can see many leaders. It's a pyramid type structure, organization structure. And one leader, deputy leaders, and many leaders. Okay, this is yellow, green territory, blue territory, and the guns pointing out. So what is it? There was little corporate infighting. That's what the world saw Microsoft, especially the Silicon Valley, saw them like this. And where do you have the time to grow? You remember my laminar flow diagram? Okay, the one where it was all like this. Whereas business goals lost no vision. It's a huge challenge for Mr. Satya Nadella. And this was even, as I told you before, but he was more than the cartoon. What upset him was the response within Microsoft. Nobody seemed to bother. This was kind of the given norms. We are a huge corporation. So there will be like this. There will be issues like this. There will be infighting. That given tendency was there. And that worried him so much. And when he decided to do something about it. And he had many series of addresses. He worked for the first 2 years only on this. Of course, he is a big technologist himself, Satyanathan, technically strong person. But he wanted to focus more on the organization and people and the systems. And in one of his first addresses as this global CEO, this is what he said. Innovation in our company, Microsoft, Apple, they're all innovation-driven companies. Even we are innovation-driven. Innovation so far was being replaced by bureaucracy. And teamwork was being replaced by internal politics. And we are falling behind. It's literal war inside the corporation. Finally, we are the losers. I think they are taking this tech company, is it clear? The innovation, this powerful words, innovation was being replaced by bureaucracy and teamwork with internal politics. How can you move? You lose sight of the business, you lose the momentum, you have to go at a particular speed. Competition is racing, Apple, taking over, Google. Sundar Pichai was making them go crazy. So we have to address this. And I think their hardware, being a tech industry, their entire hardware, they had excellent global scale hardware in terms of technology, everything. The problem was with their software, the people and leadership. How can you move? And he said this, my top goal is transformation. Not just the business strategy or the product strategy, but on the entire company culture. I will be so focused and I am going to make it happen, and that will be my first goal. If I have to, okay, we are making money, we are big, there's a lot of money on table, a lot of money because it's a big corporation. A lot of these big corporations, somehow they make a lot of money. But without growth, Roger Federer, remember, we will be moving backwards. Such, it's a behemoth, it's a huge behemoth. When that animal falls, it will fall like man. So we have to drive growth, for which the cultural change is so essential, and I am going to drive the cultural change. And he chose to go for, and first, even before that, first job that he did after a few sessions, he sent this book to he called all his top executives. I don't know how many of them, there must be 50, 100 top executives. And he handed over this book to every one of them. The name of the book is Non-Violent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. I think everyone should read this. At least the highlights of this. Look at the highlights of this book. The message was very clear. Mr. New CEO is not going to allow any infighting, any complaint. Anyone who has an idea to improve the environment was welcome to talk, meet, and discuss. Okay? And anyone with a complaining mode, please change. If not, and he had, but he was not like Steve Jobs. The difference between Satya and Steve Jobs. It's such a wonderful human being. I'm going to be talking about the personal aspect of Steve Jobs a little later in this. He was wanting to set the growth mindset driven cultural change. And we will stay on this and learn a little bit from this growth mindset. What does it, well, growth mindset literally means mindset that will drive growth. But technically, psychologically, how did you develop a growth mindset? That should be the takeaway for every one of us in this room today. Okay? And I would be happy even if you capture 50% of this concept, growth mindset. He said, he chose this as a strategy. I will make Microsoft as an organization with growth mindset to go and be a learning organization. And it is not Satya's own strategy, I'm going to tell you where he learned it from, whom he credited it to again and again, to another author. And what it means before that, growth mindset. In very simple terms, this is the definition. Of course, you will all receive this definition, you will receive this handout. But what it means to have a growth mindset. Growth mindset is the way you relate your sense of self. It's the way you relate your sense of self to a challenge. Constantly, every day we are facing challenge. Right now there are challenges. I can see people on the phones, process challenges. But how we relate ourselves to the challenge, the sense of ourselves, that is growth mindset. To give you an example, I know it's abstract concept, For example, a person with a growth mindset, or when we have a growth mindset, we encounter a difficult problem or a challenge and we fail. We don't think that I failed because I'm not smart or we are not smart. You understand? A new challenge, a new problem, let's say a literacy problem, we face and we fail. I don't think we fail because I'm not okay or we are not okay. Rather, we start thinking, how can I learn from this failure or a mistake? And then I start loving challenges and learning. That is growth mindset. And say, okay, it is easier said, but if it has to be practiced across the organization, what you try and do is you're building an organization where there is no fear culture, where there is no animosity, there is no internal competition. And the way of learning from mistakes, failures, debacles, challenges becomes an accepted norm, as long as we are committed to that learning and working for it. Everybody, every little guy in the team is going to be. And you set a culture where everyone thinks freely and contributes freely. People are not under pressure, whether I'm going to be fired for this, or I'm going to be ridiculed, not fired. US companies can fire, but not every company does do fire. Okay. So that he strongly went and pushed for this growth mindset, and it was not easy. I mean, it happened over months. It happened over months, and even for the top leadership committee. And he was crediting it to this author. The author of this book is Carol Dweck. Name of the book is Mindset. It is available in Amazon. I think it's about 60, 70 years. Excellent book. She's a Stanford professor who has preached this concept, and many companies across the world are following this concept, mindset, the growth mindset. Growth mindset predominantly says you don't have to be a know-it-alls, you understand? But learn-it-alls. Don't be a you don't have to be a know-it-alls. I can be a learn-it-alls. That is the culture. And Satya was repeatedly talking about it. I'm just giving you some explanation about this. You know, when we have a growth mindset, again, and people put in extra efforts and extra time to learn from their failures, and they are very quick to rebound. Okay? And then move on. And that's it. No unemotional about the process. Whereas people with fixed mindset, I'm using the word people, but it's not people. Everyone has a fixed mindset. Many people with a fixed mindset, they believe that their success and failures are tied together to their own personal identity and ability capable. Mr. Abudafar says, there's no hero, right? But people, when you start thinking, I am the hero who makes it happen. I'm the one responsible for this success. I am the one responsible for that. Then I don't want to be responsible for this failure. Dissociate yourself, but learn from the mistakes. The key difference is it focuses, see, know-it-alls. Fixed mindset is know-it-all. Growth mindset is learn-it-all. It's very different. And the key difference is, the key to develop growth mindset is you should focus on the process and not on the ability or the personality. You focus on the process. You don't look at the ability, capability, or personality. It is a totally different platform, different plateau once you start doing this. I mean, whatever job that you're doing today, it will become more enjoyable if you have this growth, and you'll be growing. Now, does this ring a bell for you here? Process. This is Carol Dweck and Satya Nadella talking about the process. We discussed before the break about process. Who else talked about process? Peter Drucker, yes. Leadership as a process of social influence. Peter Drucker talked about it somewhere in the mid-1900s. Carol Dweck and Satya Nadella are talking about even today. So great minds, great things don't change. They just take a different shape. It is so. I mean, if we can all be process-driven rather than ability and personality-driven. we can make mighty changes. And that's what Satya Nadella did. And again, I am oversimplifying here, I am still in the story. This was not so easy. It was not so easy, even for that it required top management commitment, top executive committee commitment, which was not easy. Some people did not agree to this, they left. You know Americans, right? They have, you cannot change my way of thinking. I'm a senior, I have this, that, and they left. But he said, fine. Many bought this concept, and they were trying to form a change management top leadership committee, and went into driving many programs. And he says, growth mindset or a learning organization culture is not a destination. Okay, we went for growth mindset, we achieved this, that's it. It's not as rosy as this. It is a continuous journey. And I think all organizations in this globalized world today, if you want to be successful, if you want to be learning, you have to be in this journey. Because, again, Carol Dweck or Satya Nadella says, within every one of our mind, there is a fixed mindset part. And you will it's not that, you introduce this program, you go and find, okay, there's 20 people there don't have growth mindset, others have. It's not as simple as that. Sometimes we ourselves as leaders, we let this fixed mindset maneuver on us or manipulate us. So I think you have to keep practicing it and keep closing the gaps. It's a big program. And 120,000 employees, 100 plus countries. Can you imagine the kind of work and leadership and influence required? Not just Satya Nadella. I think the top leadership, middle management, everyone was trying to work on it. And it took them years. They launched programs. And not before that, I think we talked about the inspiration and influence. I think Satya Nadella was role modeling, driving the change. Team of leaders, the HR, he had great HR committee, driving the HR committee, driving this change. And he was spreading messages. Why? Because of that, you remember the pistol picture. Okay? Why that culture? Okay? It is so critical not to freak out people, but provide them air cover so that you allow them to solve their problems and learn from their mistakes and learn from their failures. That is so very important. It is not possible by just one CEO. It has to be practiced all the way up to the managers or secretaries. Only then people can innovate, because people cannot innovate when there is fear. Let me relate it to one quick current example in Farabi. Okay? I think we will fix this problem. There is a return kerosene challenge. 38 degrees, 38 degrees. Okay. It's a challenge. We may have to look at it, we have to do the simulations, we have to work with the technology providers. We have excellent operations and technical team here. They should work, we have teams in Jubail. We have to align, come together, work, and give our best. Yeah, we may make little mistakes, but we have to learn from the mistakes. We have to fix, refix. But let's say if there is going to be an environment of fear, how are we going to come up with many creative trials and experiments, take calculated risks? You understand? When people are going to be under pressure and under fear of failing, if you fail, that's it, my friend Arvind, you'll be killed. I'm not saying you'll be literally killed. You are very precious for us. Okay, you cannot work. That is what I mean. That and competition. Oh, Arvind, I know this guy will. You are gone to it. Okay, and and you'll be under pressure. You will not good. And it is not, even if it becomes successful, it is not Arvind, or it is not Husa, or it's not Hamam, or it's not Manish or KG or Hoover. We learn together. The creativity comes into play together in its best form only when there is no environment of fear, but there is a sense of purpose, both. And this is what it's all Satya Nadella, not me, by the way. If you don't focus on creating a culture where people are not delivering delivering their best, you are creating nothing. And the role of leaders, all of us, our role is to focus on creating a culture where people will be energetic, enthusiastic, and give their best. Don't come to their job and start sleeping and with their indifference. Okay, what do you tell me, Mr. Perry, tell me. Okay, what do you have? How can I work with some people, right? For which we don't have to come here. Okay, it's our time. We have limited life. Not here, not any organization, any business. I think we need to create the culture, and that's what he did. And this is this is a small story here. This is just a meeting room. It's not Microsoft. I've just copied a picture here. The SLT meetings in Microsoft. SLT means Senior Leadership Team meetings at Microsoft was held every Friday. We have so many countries. Every Friday morning. It starts at 8 o'clock and it goes on for 10, 11, 12 hours. And the two gentlemen, Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer. People walked into these meetings with fear that they have to have all the answers for every possible question. They're going to be grilled. They're going to have, because it's a big global business, a lot of money. And they were getting preparing answers for questions, simulating questions. When they come inside, they did not feel encouraged. Okay, Mr. Bill Gates is a genius. It's a blessing for this world. But he did not know how to say, "Hi guys, you did a great job." He was not that kind of a person. When Satya took over, he changed the mode of the SLT meetings. These are all just symptoms. I'm just sharing here and there. The Friday meetings, first of all, he came in with his t-shirt and jean, very informal, but on time, performance focused, listening leader. Listening leader. Satya Nadella was a listening leader, not a talking leader, but very decisive leader. And the Friday morning meeting started with the whole environment. He wanted to change the culture, starting with the first session, like our safety session. He opened the first session. The researcher of the amazing is the first 30 minutes or 40 minutes of that. The researcher of the amazing session. Here, what they do, they present, since an innovation company across the world, they start celebrating or learning or admiring or prizing a new innovation that week. Somewhere in the world, like it could be an innovation in Microsoft Turkey, Istanbul operation, they developed an app for blind people to using that app they can learn languages, different languages. So they present that, and then from 8 till 8, Mr. Satya's only job was to encourage, prize, but at the same time drive focus and recognize, encourage people and motivate them and all prize. And really, he was doing it from his heart. SLT culture cascaded down below. If you remember the influence chart that we were talking about, upwards, downwards, upwards, peers. Let's say in the downwards, if you cascade an influence driven by fear, that will come back like this, and it will go like this, and it will create indifference, non-belief. Don't waste my time. Look, okay. But he was changing that. He was changing it. As Abu Dhabi says, by the fabric of Microsoft was being changed in a granular manner, and he was leading the task, and a big team was engaged in this task, and across the globe. Because this was the message. Competition is with the outside world, not within inside. He was sending his message. The new culture rollout was started after 1 year of test and internal trials across the globe. The new management framework were built on these pillars: model, coach, and care. Okay, I will tell you what it really meant. And they engaged 3,000 of their 18,000 managers across the globe after training with growth mindset and all that. And they asked them to come, and they know the Microsoft vision, goal, everything. They asked them to come up with the of a manager, the role of a manager. Everyone sitting here is a manager. Okay, whether you have a title or not, you are a manager. The definition of a role of a manager, and this is the definition that they came up with. Look at the definition. It went through a lot of trials. To deliver success through empowerment and accountability by modeling, coaching, and caring. To deliver success through empowerment and accountability by modeling, coaching, and caring. What it really means, of course, this could be, they came up with this framework for modeling, coaching, and caring. And everyone was required to do this, practice it. And so that everyone across the 120,000 employees have to get this message across. It's not an easy task, like changing the culture of a country. In modeling, the managers are expected to live the culture and be a role model. We talked about role modeling before. So that the employees who see them as a model approach the problem in the way they try to model. If they make mistakes, they learn from mistakes. That role modeling. It's not a crime to try, but it's a crime not to try. It's a crime not to engage. It's a crime not to present. But keep trying, and no problem. And you have to role model it. It's not easy. If I go and talk to someone, they will follow. They have to see me practicing. They are going to see you practicing. Coaching. Giving the team the task objectives, the objectives of whatever mission they are undertaking. Help them adapt some amount of lateral coaching. What are techniques, nuances that you need to follow, and give them space, the air cover, for them to make mistakes and learn from mistakes. And most importantly, make them believe in themselves by emphasizing their potential. You need to make your employees believe in themselves. Sometimes our employees make mistakes, our subordinates make mistakes. Sometimes you can corroborate reasons for that, but you should not become judgmental. And sometimes people need to build confidence, maybe the way they are brought up. We talked about, Abu Dhafar and I were talking about some people, the way they are brought up in their families. Maybe there's something missing. They lack confidence. You need to reassure them as leaders, coaching. And caring is attracting and retaining people, because people are the assets of business like Microsoft, for any business today. And an awareness on their own capabilities and potential, and invest on their growth. Farabi is doing everything today. I think we have started. We are doing all these things, the bulletproof programs, the talent management, the professional development. There will be more. Now we have started the leadership and culture change now. There are more coming. But every manager is responsible for modeling, coaching, and caring. So they went ahead. This rolled on for a couple of years. In 2014, he took over, Mr. Satyanadella. I told you, what are the numbers I shared with you, approximately? 120,000 employees, more than 100 countries. And what was the market cap? 350. Abu Faris remembers money very well. This guy is, he's a rich man. He's from Allah. I think all people from Al-Hassa are rich. Yeah? There is this person also from Al-Hassa. I think we need to catch all of them for the next financial closure. Okay? Yes, you are right, on the dot. 350 billion was when Satyanadella took over, 2014. 2018, look at the numbers. 120,000 employees there. US firing, people are fired in between. Employment grew by 150% to 120, from 120 to 160,000. And Microsoft spread across 190 countries. I think he added some 20 countries. And most important, the business strategy, business shift. Microsoft shifted from a tools and systems provider to an artificial intelligence and cloud-based powerhouse. Today, the company business, vision, mission, everything changed. The direction has changed. All those Wall Street journals who are ridiculing have been proven fools. Look at this. The market cap of Microsoft. $1.62 trillion by the end of 2018. Today it's even slightly higher. For you to understand the size of $1.62 trillion, I can tell you it's about 50% of the GDP of a country like India. One corporation. They are number 2 or number 3 in the world today. Yeah, man. It's not just Satyanadella, the leadership. How the engagement of the leadership with the cultural rollout, cultural change, seismic shift of the culture, the way the people thought about their business, when the people started working together, and they created better environment for innovation and productivity and focus, is what happened. Obviously, Mr. Satyanadella was chosen as the top CEO of 2018, the best CEO of 2018 by Forbes. So this is an excellent story. Because the size of the story, because it's such a huge corporation, he had to handle a mighty mess. But he could change that mighty mess into a huge success story, and today, mashallah, we are growing very fast. And because he focused on the most important thing, people. and leadership. Everything, every success, anywhere when there's a challenge with success, people are involved. He focused on it and got it done. And look at the mission that he set. This is the mission Satya Nadella set for Microsoft. From being a tools provider, empower every person and every organization in the planet to achieve more. Okay, of course, they are big, but they had a mighty mission. There is so much to learn from this mission for all of you. If you really see this mission statement, what are they doing? Empower. Empowering how? By technology, AI, or client-based, cloud-based solutions. So this is their product. Empowering through solutions is the product. Every person and every organization in the planet. It defines the people who need to be learning and growing with a growth mindset. And this is the marketplace. Every organization in the planet defines the whole market customers. But an organization, if you have to be making so much money, you have to provide value to the customers. Without creating value, nobody will buy your product. And what is the value you're offering? I will help you achieve more. Whatever you do, whatever be your business, whether you're in the medical industry, petrochemical industry, or in the software industry, I will help you achieve more. And look at the nobility of the value he was. He was not saying that I will sell product at a profit. There, that is, it's selfish. He is going to provide you real value. It's not against Satya. He was a facilitator, the leadership. It's a mighty mission he got. And I think the lesson that we can learn from them is, this is not Microsoft, this is my own interpretation of what they managed. Aligning behind a common purpose or a common sense of purpose, and learning from your mistakes with a growth mindset, and building relationship with empathy, we'll talk about it, will make such a change happen. It will make the impossible possible. But what is very important is aligning. Common purpose. Look at the way we have to, as leaders, we need to align people together. We need to give them sense of purpose. We need to be a learning organization and allow people to make mistakes and learn from the mistakes. Be having the growth mindset in making the mistakes and learning from mistakes. Build relationships with empathy. If you do all these things, it is simple. It is easy. Yes, some techniques, some technology will be involved, but you need to have the commitment. And we need to be passionate. See, if we are not passionate about what we are doing here, we are wasting our time. You can go to a beach. Okay? So that is important. He managed to do this. Any questions before I am going to share the leadership virtues that Satya Nadella talks, that it helped him create this. And he says, I listened to an interview of Satya Nadella. He talks about these virtues, leadership qualities. Any questions? It's a story. At least ask a question, when is the lunch break? Okay. Now Satya Nadella's virtues. That is very, if you have to drive such a massive change, cultural change, or the way people work as a leader, I think he says, number one, he talks about judgment. But before that, let me tell you, Satya, do you see what Satya Nadella, can you figure out what he's trying to do here? Mr. Satya Nadella. He's playing a game actually. It's a cricket, it's a game of cricket. And I know many of the Saudi gentlemen don't know cricket, how cricket is played. He's an Indian originally. So he was a very passionate cricketer at school. He wanted to play for the Indian team. He's bowling the ball. Okay. And in cricket, you bowl, and there's a batsman with the 3 wickets. The aim of the bowler is to get the batsman out, where you have to either get the wickets down through his back, or the ball, someone has to catch the ball and he's out. It's just very simple. There are more, very high level. Pakistanis and Indians are laughing. Like I'm talking. I'm trying to see what A, B, C, D to a professor, English professor. It's a passion. It's a kind of a religion in India. Okay. And during school days, let's go back to the story. Satya was in school in Hyderabad. I think many of you know Hyderabad. He studied there in school, and he was playing cricket, and One day, a school captain, I mean, there was a big match, and they asked, when he was bowling, he was thrashed all over the ground. He got very badly hit, and he thought that would be the end of his cricketing game that day for the school. But the captain came in, he came in the next over, he took some wickets, which is successful. Then, normally when you get thrashed around the ground, you are not given the ball again to bowl. But he called him and gave him the ball. And Satya was so surprised. And he says that was one of his best, after that he bowled very well, and that is the best bowling performance in his life. Of course, he's too old and too unfit to play now. He's just recalling that experience and sharing. But the message here is, he went and asked that guy after many years, after he became a big person, why did he give me the ball again that day? And his captain said, Satya, I could have easily pulled you out. But your confidence was shaken by the batsman who hit you all around. If I don't give you the ball back, you will stop playing cricket. I wanted there, this is a very important leadership quality, gentlemen, judgment. Judgment is a very important leadership skill and ability. And you will be constantly put to test. Your ability to judge, evaluate situations, people is going to be constantly practiced. Leadership is a demanding job. It's a demanding job if you look at it as a demand, but it's an enjoyable job if you're going to be involved. You are going to be constantly tested. Maybe your decision, maybe a hard decision on some person, and either get him off or move him away, or maybe you can do something to improve his confidence, lift him up. Okay, it's a choice of, you have only two choices. You can either pass a judgment and say something, oh, this guy will not be good, or you can sit, talk, and work with the guy, and also counsel. We are in business. It's not a charity, and give him another opportunity, and work on what he needs. People deserve a second chance, and as leaders, your judgment ability is going to be constantly tested. You have to show the maturity. You have to show leadership, not just making a judgment. That is the message. It happened to me once at we all face a lot of judgment challenges as leaders every day. One day, one of my team members, something important was expected from him. I cannot say her because there's no her. I'm just keeping you alive. And we were all waiting for him, because there is something important that had to happen. And he left. But it was, of course, during working hours he left. And when I called him, he felt, no, why, and something happened, okay? Let's say, and probably he said something which is not falling within the official protocols, something. But I had the choice to judge him or counsel him and empower him. So I gave the benefit of doubt to the particular employee. We met after a few days and discussed, why did you do this? This was my understanding. What I found, finally, his understanding was wrong. It's not that person wanted to create something and did a crime and to offend something or offend a system or violate a system. He had a poor understanding about the system. Poor understanding of what is expected from him as a contributor in the team. Okay, and then everything was fine. That person started, after I spent some time, he started performing very nicely. He's not excellent, but he's performing nicely. I'm sure you all come across these situations. We have this choice to make a judgment or lift a person up. Use that judgment. Keep testing your judgment skills. It's like a muscle. Some we will make, again, growth mindset. You have to test it more and more, practice your muscle towards proper judgments as a leader. That's what Satyananda did. It's a mighty problem. The second one is empathy. Okay. It is so, whether we are leaders, whether we are workers, whether we are whatever, we are all human beings. Empathy is so innate in us. It is an inborn quality. It's an inborn expectation. People expect you to be empathetic. Empathy doesn't mean you have to go and hug people, say nice or nothing. Engagement. Serious engagement. Sincere engagement. Listen to their problems. Give the benefit of doubt to them. Another story, here, and I'm becoming a storyteller. Satya was attending the final interview of Microsoft. He crossed, these guys, normally for you to get recruited at the Microsoft or Apple, you go through a series of interviews, engagements, which will last, some of the interviews open with breakfast and closes with dinner. A lot of engagement, because they want to hire the best in the industry. And the final interview for Satya was, panel was sitting there. The last question, he's a code expert, all this coding, programming expert, this guy. It was on the screen, he has online test. The last question was, Satya, you are in the crossroad, okay? And a child falls down, or a kid falls down. What will you do? Then Satya started thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this question. Must be I should design an algorithm which works like this, and maybe from the smartphone, I will design a program in my smartphone so that it will dial 911, something like that, he said. Your interview is over, Satya, and then the main interviewer comes in, hugs him, and puts it. Satya, that question, the answer that you gave was ridiculous answer. It was stupid answer. You didn't say stupid, it was a ridiculous answer, my friend. When you see a child falling down, you go and lift the child and hug the child. You don't dial 911. That is called empathy. And Satya thought, what has empathy got to do with this? But he says, I think, what has empathy got to do with business? In fact, it's got everything to do with the business. Business, leadership, and the way we do has got a big element of empathy in everything. Satya Nadella, again, I'm quoting him again and again. He says, innovation. What is innovation? He gave a beautiful definition of innovation. Innovation is our ability to articulate the unmet, innovation is our ability to visualize the unarticulated or unmet needs of a customer. Is it clear? The innovation is our ability to think what the customer wants. Maybe he's not able to say, especially in a business like Microsoft. Maybe for some of our products, specialty oils, downstream products. And how can you develop this visualizing ability without empathy? You should be able to read between the lines of your situations and come to an empathetic judgment. You should be able to extrapolate those findings into what you need to do. That is empathy. Design thinking. I think many of you are involved in design. At least exposed to design. Design thinking is empathy. What will one of the panel operator, how is he going to operate this difficult Molex column? Okay, and you have to do certain things. That is empathy. Sustainability thinking. What the great MBS is doing is empathy. You're thinking about the future. How are people going to live safely in future? That's empathy. So everything in business and leadership has got to do with empathy. So practice empathy sincerely, even in your meetings, and ask bold questions and find honest answers. In our meeting, are we having empathetic meetings? Do we understand each other, or we don't? Okay, CEO is asking us, or GM is asking us to meet. We will meet. When the meeting is over, we do the minutes. Tell us. But without empathy, you cannot understand each other. So empathy is very important. The next one is the sense of purpose. Having a constant sense of purpose. Okay. A leader is someone who is having this constant sense of purpose. Not only a constant sense of purpose, and he is going to convert this sense into actions, into actionable items. That is very, very important. You have to have a constant, and you have to drive your team to have a constant sense of purpose. When Abu Dhafar is not here, but when Abu Dhafar joined Faradi, we GMs met him first in Jubail. Abu Dhafar was not there at that time. Okay. And I still remember what he said. Gentlemen, my nature, I'm a worried person by nature. He said, I'm constantly worried on what we need to do. That is sense of purpose. Probably he used a different word, but it is sense of purpose. I think we should be driven by the sense of purpose. Wherever we are, when we are driving sometimes. And of course, we need to have our personal time, but That quality needs to be developed among your team members. And when someone asked Satya Nadella, between culture, sense of purpose on one side, product strategy, marketing, business, innovation on the other side, which do you believe is more important for your business? Which is the needle mover for the business? He said, I will go for culture and sense of purpose. Because it's the people who will make everything happen. I will work on this more than on that. So it's very important as a leader, you need to have this constant sense of purpose. Culture. We talked about culture. What is culture in an organization? The question.
The way we act.
The way we act. Any more answers?
The way we interact with each other.
The way we interact. The way we do things in an organization, the way we think, the way we lead, the way people are expected to greet each other, respect, integrity, trust, respect, value, all your values. Farabi has values, right? We have a set of values. Our values reflect our culture. And Satya was driving the growth mindset, learning organization culture. And as cultural ambassadors, you need to set the tone. As leaders, you need to set the tone. You need to walk the talk. And if you are conducting meetings, how do you measure the symptoms of the culture? Whether everyone gets an opportunity to state his or her views, whether you are listening and make them feel that they are contributing. That is also a reflection of a culture. Always we are driving progress, right? We are driving progress. Progress can only come from your own change of behavior as a leader. Your own personal change of behavior as a leader. So you need to role model the cultural change. And in Microsoft, and again in our organization, I feel the real currency of culture, according to Satya, is inclusivity. Inclusiveness is the real currency of culture. That inclusivity in terms of nationality and other things are there, but more than that, as leaders, we are becoming older and older because of biology. Okay? But new people are entering the system. New people are coming inside the system. And they have a different background. We are seeing our children, grown-up children, especially people who have teenage children and children going to college. The way they think, the way they think they need to learn is a little different from the way we think. We cannot say, oh, these guys are bad. But we need to find ways and means to include them into our team and our discussions, for which we need to educate, empower, and empathize. Very important. So the real currency of culture is inclusivity and inclusiveness. And the role of first level manager, he talks, there are a lot of first level managers here, people doing managerial roles. The role of first level manager in an organization, growing organization, is so important. They are the cultural ambassadors. If you're not going to engage with all the fresh people coming inside your organization and set the expectations, set the chemistries right with them, they are going to shift direction. For which the first level manager needs to empower himself, educate himself, and he needs to be supported by the management. Microsoft is big, but even it is applicable to us, so that he's constantly listening to his team members. And last two things which Satya says is, one is strategic thinking. What is strategic thinking? Anyone apart from money is a strategic planning manager. What is strategic thinking?
Who thinks as a whole picture?
Whole picture, future. And also challenging, having a challenging mentality to the status quo. What if? What if this happens? And how can I build the Farabi for the future? Let's say what should be my strategy for downstream? What should be my strategy for LAB? Do we expand on LAB or do we expand on paraffins? Or yes? How are these expansions? How these things need to be planned? Okay, this is our top management level, but even within your team level, you need to have a strategic thinking and challenging mentality. And every day coming in, and a lot of people come into the work with a transactional mentality. Okay, I am here, whatever I am asked to do, I will do. That is the transactional mentality. But value creating mentality is far different. What is the value I am going to add as a member of this team? We need to push for that. We need to reduce the tendency is, you understand this? This is a body, I think the body language should, I will not do. I will tell you whatever is told, I will do. This is transactional mentality. Go for value creation, strategic thinking. And being aware of our competitive strengths and how do we improve our competitive strengths and advantages. Yesterday we talked about that.
So going to this mentality means differentiating yourself from others.
Yes.
Preparing yourself for future for more challenging and higher
Correct.
positions.
Correct.
So people with this mentality, they always distinguish themselves from others, and they are paving the road for themselves to grow
Yes.
the organization.
Yes. Strategic thinking, thanks for the session. I want to capitalize on those thoughts. Preparing yourself for the future roles as a leader, it also demands strategic thinking. To be a leader, you need to improve your ability and capability to influence, inspire people. And how are you going to do that? By only saying transactional things. Anyone can, computers can transact. And there is no value addition. And that is not attractive, even from a remuneration point of view, from a pay scale point of view. It's not going to be attractive if you only remain transactional. By remaining transactional, you are making yourself vulnerable. Robin Sharma says, education is inoculation. You know, like inoculation, vaccine. Education is inoculation against disruption. Something will expect the unexpected to happen. Educating yourself for all these things. Get ready to be a leader for future. Strategic thinking. The Crown Prince is leading the country. I am sure he had the strategic thinking mentality long back. He's really built his ability to think so powerfully, courageously. Okay? Strategic thinking is so very important for every leader. Otherwise you will stay. You will be stationary. Finally, he says, especially for big corporations, successful companies, like even Farabi, humility is an important leadership value. Whatever be your position, whether you are a manager, section head, GM, CEO, practice humility. Even as an organization, you need to practice humility. And he recommends some reading here. He calls it the second mountain of success. The first mountain of success is excellence, success, career, etc. When you are in the first mountain, think about the second mountain. The second mountain relates to the world, community, and people beyond. If you go back to this mission development, empower the whole world, every organization, to achieve more. That is the second mountain. We need to have a second mountain level thinking at that grand stage. And for which you need to practice humility and empathy as an organization and strategic thinking as an organization, judgment skills, everything that we talked about is here. Let me quickly tell you, he shares another story. In the late 1990s, why he went for this? Okay, in late 90s, Microsoft market shares were very high. And all the employees had some shares also in the company. And it was the most valued company in the world. And he says he saw every employee working in this. I worked for them. They started thinking that they are some gifts. They are here to make the world happy. But it is such a temporal thing. Market, your share price is any collapse in the market could change, and you will become like this. Okay, be humble. And that is how they came to this mission. Now they want to empower everyone in this world. Don't be arrogant. Okay. Humility is very important so that it makes you grounded, level-headed, and you start thinking more and more rationally and creatively. So humility. I know it's a long one but it's an important case, how he transformed. Once again, look at the mission. I can't empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. It was a mighty mission with a courageous and the right cultural change initiative that he took, And he faced challenges in spreading across, but he managed to do it with the support of so many leaders in the organization and made it a mighty company today in the world. And they have reached to a great position. They are looking at the next mountains. Finally, as a leader, it is very, very important to know what we don't know. All of you watched yesterday evening television, right? There was a changeover in USA. Leadership changeover in USA. Somebody, and the person, there was someone who did not know what he did not know. But he was very arrogant. I hope it's very important for us to know what we do not know and get to know what we need to know very fast and very efficient. That's a very, very important leadership quality. Yesterday, Joe Biden was speaking in the world. We will lead this world not with power, but with the power of example. Beautiful statement. You should watch this. It's a nice speech. Role modeling. He wants to change the image of America, which was built by another leader in the last 4 or 5 years. And he says, we will show leadership with this world, with the way we will lead to resolve our conflicts with everyone. Again, change. So I think, because there are all great leaders always think leadership is learnership. There is no English word called learn. It's a word I made up. Okay? Don't look at it, don't Google it, okay? Write to me, I have the copyrights. Leadership is learnership. We are here, if we don't learn, okay, learning, I'm not saying literally reading from the books, and no, some of us are like reading, some of us, learn from everyone you meet. Connect with everyone, listen to people. Listening is such a basic thing. God has given this capability for us to listen the moment we are born, right? But we do so many things, BTech, BS, MS, but we forget this basic skills. If we listen, we will learn. Okay? As leaders, it's very important. That concludes the last session on the leadership part. If you have any questions on this, if not, we will go to the personal mastery. I will try to finish this quickly. I don't want to hold you for long. Any doubts? Any practical, the management is sitting here. Any practical challenge in your experience as a practicing leader before you make leadership, true leadership as a habit? Anything, throw anything so that we can little bit debate, have a practical thought over something that you faced or a situation that you constantly encounter. I'm here, Abu Dhafar, Muhaddan, anyone can share our replies.
I'll share some.
Fadal.
One problem I think we always have, and you have mentioned this, is that we don't have to have a position to believe we are leaders. One of the basic struggles I see in multiple organizations is that the employees are expecting something from the leader to start. Sometimes they know the right answer while the leader doesn't. As it's stated there, leadership is learnership. And if you listen, you will get it. But to just motivate them, to stimulate them to speak can be a challenge. So they can tell you whatever is in their mind, and then you drive this to happen. So that's always a problem. I see the team is waiting, and then once they get a direction, they start criticizing. Well, that's not the right thing. Well, why did you not speak up? Why did you not go ahead and give this suggestion on how we can improve, how we can fix it, how we can make it better? So thank you, Perry.
Sure.
I'm sure you have highlighted this throughout the session.
No, it's important.
I just wanted to highlight one.
Yeah, sure. I think very good example. Thanks, Abu Hamza. I think this is something that we face. A team situation, and people, the members of the team, when you are giving them a mission or a purpose or a task, even with a brief, if you have anything, you can ask me, and people don't open up. People don't talk about it. And then after a while, they start criticizing your execution strategy or your style or whatever. How can we relate this? From whatever we discussed only today. Okay. There are two things. If you remember the Robin Sharma section, I said, every one of us is a leader. I think you have to make your members, there are only 30 here, and I think the entire population, we are all managing the entire population here in this fence. You need to make this culture, belief, drive for this entire population. You have to be, this guy has made it possible across the Microsoft. I'm coming to a practical solution here. Robin Sharma said, we are leader in life and we have two choices. Either we can think like a victim or we can think like a leader. It is applicable to every team member. You have the choice to think like a victim and be quiet, go behind and complain, or be a leader. You don't agree with me, fine, my dear friend, but tell me why you don't agree. Do you have a better way to do this? If it is better, I will really accept and I will incorporate. Or we will, as a team, if we have common, we will incorporate. That opportunity should be given to him or whoever it is. I think for him to behave as a leader. I think these are all day-to-day conflicts. I know you are handling it, but this is a situation. Thanks for the situation. But we are using the concept of victim and leader and engagement. And catch hold of those people. And if they are going to repeat it, sit with them, engage with them. What is your problem? Ask them, what is your problem? Why are you a troublemaker? I'm not calling us a troublemaker. Every time you are accepting and you're going back, and I know it's a small organization. We know who is talking about it. I don't want to punish people. Our job is not to punish people, but our priority is to move towards the business goals. This is one way of engaging. I'm sure you have your own styles of it. I think engage with them with empathy once, twice, then I think we have to do something.
I think very, as you mentioned in one of the slides, one of the important tools for the engagement is to ask more why. So asking more why, this will clear all the ambiguity.
With the person.
With the person.
I fully agree with you. Also the why care, why the management wants to do something in that particular way, within a particular date, within a particular budget, with a particular quality, or whatever. That cascading needs to be well done, well practiced. That is leadership. Cascading below, cascading up. Yes, Susan, you are able to say something. Any situations, anything else? Okay, let me start moving into personal mastery. Okay, and we will try to rush. I will rush through this. This is again, yes, we talked about organization, leadership, or in an organizational context. How can we make ourselves fit enough personally to be a great leader? It's Robin Sharma says leadership is a mindset, leadership a heart set. It's all fine, it's all nice to hear. But how do you practice it? That is a challenge. And I feel that I want to relax, sit back. This is what we are getting into that territory. How do you unpack yourself? How do you unpack, like your toolbox, how do you unpack yourself as a personality, analyze and identify your strengths, identify your weaknesses, play on your strengths, work on your weakness, and then convert yourself as a more effective, more powerful package, more acceptable package. I think that is why we are here in this world. We are not here to come and sit in a room alone and the team and not interact. Or only interact with people whom we like to interact. I'm speaking a lot, but I'm just telling you. We should have, as people, we need to be able to interact with everyone. So for which personal mastery is so very important. Look at what Khalil Gibran has said. Very powerful statement. When you are born, your gift is placed in your heart. When you are born, your work is placed in your heart, which is a gift that you are born with. But how many of us look at, some of us, for example, are good in speaking, naturally speakers. Some of us are good in the way we do things. Some of us have some artistic talents. Some of us are born sporty guys. Okay, very good. No, there is every one of us. There is a purpose behind us, why we are born. But it is up to us to go and invent, discover, and master that purpose passionately and purposefully. Otherwise, you're wasting your life. This is just as we are going towards personal mastery. Look at Robin Sharma, what he has said. There are no extra people in this earth. Every one of us who are born in this year has a purpose. This is a very powerful statement. It's a very sharp statement. But well, if you dig deep into this, it's got a lot of meanings. Okay? Okay. You know, the chances of we being born as we are, as human beings, let's say if Abdullah Ahmed, being born what he is, with the same appearance, same look, even if there's going to be it's going to be different, with the same parents, same time, same location, the same DNA qualities. Do you know what is the probability of you being born as you are exactly what you are today? You understand the odds? The odds of you being born. 1 is to how many? Shankar. What is the odd of you being born exactly as Shankar today? The way you look, the way you speak, the way you think, the way you behave. What is the probability? 100%. No, what is not 100%? 1 is to how much? What is the probability? With a little chromosome change, some different time, he could have been a slightly different person. Even if you have an identical twin, there will be a difference. What is the odd of you being, please understand my question, what is the odd of Akram being born exactly in the same place, with the acumen of financial acumen, whatever?
Almost no.
The scientists have worked on it. It is the Stanford scientists. It is 1 is to 400 trillion. 1 is to 400 trillion, my dear friends. 1 is to 400 trillion. How many people are there on this earth? And for us to understand what it is.
7 billion.
7 point some billion. Okay. It is impossible. You can find one person exactly like Abu Hadan in the planet.
So we don't have to search.
We don't have that. Let's say somebody is challenging you. Even if you are going to forget about the earth, even if you are going to fill up the entire solar system with people, you cannot fill it up with 400 trillion. So we are so unique. We are so very unique. When we are born, again, I am trying to charge some energy. When we are born, our natural state is energy. Have you seen a child a child is crying? Exciting. He is announcing, he or she, they are announcing their arrival to this world. Our natural state is energy. Our natural state is a mind which is filled with ideas, and a heart which is filled with love, and a soul which is so shiningly bright. But what happens is during the course of time, it gets converted to something. We'll allow it to get contaminated, polluted. We don't work on it. Okay, even if you go to a gathering, how many people come forward and interact? For me to, when I talk to people, I do a lot of public speaking. It is so very different. Every audience is different. Today, the character of this audience is very different. People are not same. It is very difficult to, provoke people sometimes to interact. But when we are born, all of us are fully energetic. We don't care. We want to give what we want to give to this world. We are truly, fearfully, and wonderfully made. We are 1 in 400 trillion. We don't live long. 10 years is how much? It's about 3,650 days money, who is good in calculation. Right? So if you live for 20 years, my math is bad, 7,000 days. Okay. If you live for 40 years, 40,000 days. Another 40 years, let's say 80 years. Abu Faris is healthy 80 years. So it's 28,000 days. It's going to be, 1 day is gone, 2 days is gone. We are so fearfully and wonderfully made. But we don't know sometimes, why we come to earth. All those people who say this to me, I want to help them. I empathize with them. You will have team members. You will be one of them. Please help them. Give it a chance. Like what Hamam said. No, that guy is clearly, go and talk to him. Give him more clarity. Give yourself more clarity. Now when we are born like that. But over a period of time, we develop this averaging tendency. Okay? There's a little story here, because, but I promise you we'll close on time. Averaging tendency, as human beings we are born great. And in Thailand, I'm taking you to Thailand. Okay? I know Saudis are not allowed to travel there, but I don't know if things have changed. there's a beautiful golden Buddha temple there. Okay, beautiful. It's a huge one. The beautiful thing is, as a monument, it looks so big and pure gold, pure gold. It must be, I don't know, hundreds of tons. And the Thai people built this golden Buddha monument for 500 years ago, 500 or 600 years ago. And the country came under attack by some other conqueror. What they did is, they wanted to protect this statue. It's so much of gold. They covered it with mud, plastic, straw, everything. It became invisible. The attack took place, everything happened. They didn't know, and they were gone. But the covered, people were probably killed also. The covered Buddha laid in that state for 200 years, 200 or 200 plus years. Until one day, some worker roadside accidentally peeled off that plaster. You saw gleaming gold inside, covered in layers. After that, they opened it, and it became a monument. The metaphor here is, there is gold in every one of us. There is so much of gleaming gold in every one of us, because we are 1 in 400 trillion. But sometimes, because of our families, sometimes the work environments, the pampering people whom we are addicted to, some friends, we all become victims of average. Okay? We adapt the psychology of the average versus the mentality of the possibility and legendary people that we can become. Don't have this averaging tendency. Every day you are learning. And look at the opportunities. And try to bring the very best that you possibly can bring for you. All these people became great because they were not born geniuses. Some of them we may not recognize. He's a big world global musician. Because they went with this mentality. They wanted to bring out, they worked extra time every day in discovering the very best that they were born with. Our positioning in this world as human beings, as performers, is so vital. Now, there's a quick Q&A session now. Okay? I'm going to talk about personal positioning, personality positioning, people positioning, how we are, how we have to position ourselves in this world is so important. It's Almarai. What does the image of Almarai trigger in your mind? This picture, what image it triggers in your mind? It's a product, but what is it? It's a dairy product. But what does it mean? What does it mean to you, Almarai? Come on, don't think, no engineering answer. I want leadership answer. Quality. Almarai means quality, right? I think Ali doesn't buy Almarai. You are not a? Okay, fine. Don't disclose your brand. Almarai means quality. Beautiful. What does it trigger in your mind?
Brand.
It's a brand. Everything is here is a brand. I agree.
Quality as well.
Yeah, brand. Huh?
Quality as
Sorry?
well. Again, quality.
Quality, is it quality?
That's what comes to my mind.
Sport or trendy. Being fashion, sport, trendy, Nike, That is the image that comes to your mind. I know it's there. Some of you are not opening up. Okay.
Comfort. Something we need to. We miss something we miss.
Nice one.
Luxury.
Comfort, luxury. World-class travel experience or luxury, amazing experience, 5-star experience, is Emirates. Okay? This is, it is not just like that they come and create this. People who develop these brands, the owner of these companies, are multi-million-dollar brands. They work hard, work purposefully to establish this experience in consumers' mind. And they keep updating their brand quality, product quality. It's very much. And see, this is by the science, marketing science, by the way. The customer, what thought is triggered in consumers' mind? Every product, there's a lot of it. We get to talk to our friends Unilever and P&G a lot. Okay? When we talk about Pampers, it triggers one of the highest emotions in human mind. The brand value of Pampers runs into tens of billions of dollars. P&G's Pampers. But the point here is, this image, this product image, yes, you want to say something?
Next time you should add Farabi.
Yes, we will. I think we will. We will. That is the purpose. I completely, definitely agree. In the industry, we should be, we are a proud company to work for. I think everyone should see Farabi as a proud 5-star company to work for, definitely. And my point here is, this image, this in marketing science again, this is called USP. Anyone knows the expansion of USP? This is a technique. It is used to build brand images. Anyone? USP. It means unique selling proposition. Okay? Every brand owner, every product owner works on, especially in the consumer market, they work on a USP to sell their brand. I'm sure Microsoft works on its USP. Apple works on its USP. Every brand stands for its own image, product image. It makes the consumer relate to an experience based on the product usage, and he goes after it. And it promotes brand loyalty so that they will not shift so easily. Okay? Now, do we have a USP for ourselves? Lifeless products and brands are injected with USPs. So much of life is being brought into it. There are so many of us sitting here. Every one of us is different. But do we bother to have a USP for ourselves? What is our brand value? Do we have a value for ourselves? Or we want to just simply get up in the morning, go to work, punch, eat lunch, come back. Oh, of course, we're all working. I'm not talking as people below us. We are wasting. We need to work on our brand value. We need to work on our own USPs as human beings, as personalities. For which I'm going to just suggest some practices and protocols, and we will close. Protocol number 1. You know, as human beings, we are all born with some talents, and we built some intellectual skills. I'm going to call them as unique intellectual, like USP, which is unique selling proposition. We have a unique intellectual attribute, and we have a unique emotional attribute. Okay, what is unique intellectual attribute? Let's say, let's take the example of Asif. He's in a convenient location for me, that's why I'm selecting him. Who is Asif's boss? Sitting here, Rosa. What is the intellectual or the technical attribute that you will associate when you think of Asif? Appraisal is over, right?
Asif is very experienced in field of maintenance, reliability of plant.
He's an experience, but his quality for his functionality.
Systematic.
Very systematic. Excellent. And something on the techniques, he's a mechanical engineer, I guess, right? He has a good mechanical engineering acumen.
Yes.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
So that is, and very systematic. Let me stay with systematic. Very systematic. That is, some people are good in math. Some people are good in science. Some people are good in language. Some people are good in sport. Let me keep sport away. That is the intellectual attribute. I think every one of us has an intellectual attribute. Something good about us in terms of intelligence. And emotional attribute. You understand the word emotion, how you connect with people. How would you rate the emotional attribute of Asif as a person? What is good about him? He is a specimen. He's on the table, don't worry. We will do a dissection. What is the unique emotional attribute? What is
Very friendly.
very friendly, very warm, very nice. Okay, some people. Maybe some others are probably not very. They are introverted people. They don't go out. We have respect. So we all have a unique intellectual attribute, and we all have a unique emotional attribute. We need to know. We need to talk to people. For which we need to talk to people. No, I'm good. I don't want to know. This is Donald Trump attitude. Don't have Donald Trump attitude. Okay. You need to discuss, align with people, and then find your intellectual attribute, emotional attribute, maybe to your parents, to your neighbors, your friends. Work on them. And then we are all born with some natural talents. We need to identify our talents. Maybe somebody can sing very well. That's a talent. Somebody can paint well, that's a talent. You need to combine all these things together. He's a systematic guy. You can systematically work on this, believe me. I have personally gained out of this. There are a lot of people, all the gurus, coaches, they're all doing this. And then you need to identify, when you combine them together, UIA, UEA, and talent, what you end up getting is UDA, unique differentiable attribute. Abu Dhafar said, product differentiation, what we do differently from others. UDA, what is your UDA? Next month we are going to come back and ask every one of you, what is your UDA? Every one of us has a UDA, provided we constantly work on it. If you don't work, you are wasting your life. You are not making yourself ready for the future. We want to have a beautiful life. We have a family. We have our children. We will have grandchildren. They need to look upon us. We need to be role modeling them. But for which you need to do all these things. And it is such an enjoyable task. Once you change into this mode, all changes are hard at the beginning. Gets messy in the middle, little messy. But the end is so beautiful that you will not come back. But it's difficult to start with. Start using this practice. Okay? Next time, Ali, you are going to tell me what is your unique selling proposition. We talked about it, and create your own niche. You can become an Almarai or an Emirates. You are in our area. People. These are people, are examples. I am sure these people worked a lot. They knew their UDAs, what they are good at. The Robin Sharma is basically a lawyer. He is a corporate lawyer. But he felt that he is speaking, he's reading, he's comprehending, he's thinking clearly. He's gone through a lot of meditation programs and other things. Then he switched profession after he built his UDAs. The next person, I think I don't have to say anything. You all know, right?
Who is it?
Salah. Okay? And constantly check your brand value and update your UDAs every day or every once in a while. Very important. Otherwise, we are not working on it. Second is aspiration. We all aspire. Is there anyone here who doesn't aspire? Stupid question. I think every one of us have aspired. We all aspire in our life. But I want to talk to you about how we need to look at our aspirations, how we have to work on our aspirations. We all aspire, but do we act? Do we act adequately? Okay. If you have aspiration and you are not acting on them adequately, your aspiration becomes a frustration. Then you become a big bundle of negative energy. I think we are talking about jealousy, complaint, so many things. You become a bundle of that. Slowly, you become a big bundle. You become a bomb one day, and you will only die. Nobody else will die. Okay. Aspiration is an internal energy that we have as human beings. This is one of the beautiful things. I want to connect it to some basic science, school science. How many of you remember the law of conservation of energy? What you read in school? The law of conservation of energy. What does it state? Arvind. Energy?
Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed.
Neither be created nor be destroyed, but can only be
transferred into another one.
transformed from one form to another. See, Indians have good memory. They memorize things very nicely. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can only be transformed from one form to another. We are all engineers with the science concept. Our internal energy, our aspiration is an internal energy. It can neither be created nor be destroyed. It will only transform from one form to another. The nice form, the positive form, when you start working on yourself, your UDAs, your talents, your developments, you become a good chemical engineer, you go into Farabi, you learn a lot, learn leadership, move up, build your leadership skills. Until one fine day you become a CEO. Okay? You are converting your energy into positive, or the positive form cascades and exponentially. The other way is, it doesn't die. It is inside you. You don't work on it. You leave it. Negativity, okay, jealousy, all bad things start happening. Okay. You become a victim. We need to work on our aspirations. We need to balance our actions, aspirations with actions. This, and for which this is the same, Robin Sharma says, ideation without execution, which our CEO talked about execution, is delusion. We have a lot of ideas. I want to become an artist. I want to become a world famous soccer player. And if you don't work on it, you will be after 5 years, I want to become a world famous soccer player. Ideation, I want to become the best performer in Farad. How can you? What you need to do? I want to become the best leader in Farad. How are you working on yourself? You cannot come into work and then look at people and then order people and become a better leader. You need to work on your inspirational qualities. How you can influence, how you can inspire. And it is an enjoyable task. Finally you are building your USPs. You are building your UDAs. Okay? Because it is as human beings, we all have this energy, but we are all cursed with one, sometimes, not all. I think people here are beautiful people. But why do we fail in execution? Because we come up with excuses. Right, Hama? I think your team members, you must be seeing, we're all seeing a lot of people. They come up with lots and lots of excuses. Any interaction here? Any task? People come up with a lot of excuses. Akram? There's no one who comes with excuse in your team when you want to win. Any interaction? Any experience? Usam, you must be having the ideal dream team. People come up with excuses, right?
Apparently, all Farabians.
So we are perfect. We are on the first mountain. We need to think about the second mountain. We all are so good as naturally as human beings. We have this, we have this button, excuse button that is pressed. Whenever something is demanded to be done now, timely, tomorrow, day after, blah, blah, the excuse button is pushed hard. Our excuses are nothing but lies that our internal fears are trying to sell us. Let me repeat, our excuses are nothing but lies that our own internal fears are trying to sell us so that we can be lazy. We should not buy them. We have to confront our own tendency to develop excuses. Again, if you have to make an aspiration, it's a reality. If you have to convert your aspirations into real actions, you need to get over the excuse-producing habits. Because our aspiration is like a baby. We need to take care of it every day, like we would take care of our own baby. Okay? That is protocol. We talked about 2. Protocol 3, third practice, which I am going to say is experience. Okay? We constantly keep talking about the experience. Okay? I am so experienced, such a person is experienced, I carry 10 years of experience, I have 15 years of experience, 5 years of experience. But it's not the number of years that we spend can be added to our experience. You remember we discussed about value addition and transaction. You cannot go through a transactional life mode or a job mode or a business mode and call it as an experience. Experience can be such a nasty perception. So we need to be honest to ourselves. What is that I have learned last 1 year? Sit down and write it down. Write it down in a book. Sometimes, and I have done it, I have noticed in my 20s, I have wasted many years. Early 20s. I had some personal tragedies in life, my mom and dad. But I had my excuses, which let me digress. Probably if I had worked, probably at that time it would have been a different thing. Our experience is always a nasty perception. Don't fall for it. Be honest. Be honest to yourself. What is that you have done? This is our perception. It may be the reality. If he remains a particular person, don't blame me, okay? Knowing, we have to know. And we have to know and acknowledge that we don't know, like I said. That is honesty. Getting to know what we don't know is awareness. Going after what we need to know is commitment. Converting the knowledge into performance is passion. And consistency in doing that is success and excellence. But everything needs to start with us internally. I think our inner belief. I mean, we need to keep raising ourselves higher in our own internal world than the external world, and keep working on it. It's so important. I want to, there's this quick story, another story to tell you. Narcissus. I don't know how many of you have heard of Narcissus story. Do you know what is, there's an English word called narcissistic person. You know who is a narcissistic person? Narcissistic.
Who knows himself?
Beautiful. Someone, thank you, Someone. Someone who is in love with himself. Oh, I am great, I am wonderful. There's no one better than me. And some of them even think they're looking very handsome or whatever. Okay? They're very narcissistic, but I am the great. This comes from the story of Narcissus. It's a Greek mythology story. There was this character called Narcissus. And this person was roaming around in a forest. I don't know whether it's true or not, it is in the mythology. He was moving around in the forest. And one day, he just accidentally looks at that beautiful lake in the middle of the forest. He sees his own reflection. God, I look so good, so handsome. I have never met anyone, there was no mirror at that time. I've never met anyone so beautiful, so handsome in my life. I am probably the best in the world. And every day he used to go and look at himself in the lake and admire his own reflection. It's a very big lake. One day he got so excited, there was some ripples, he saw his image shaking, he wanted to go catch it, he fell down, died. Narcissus was gone. And what happened after that? There were some angels following him. Okay? And they know what happened. And then they come back after he's dead. They come and talk to the lake. Beautiful lake. You have been watching Narcissus very closely every day. Was he really so beautiful? The angels are asking the lake. And the lake asks, who? What is the name of the person? The person who was looking at you. Was he handsome? I don't even look at his face. I was constantly looking into his eyes, which reflected my own beauty. You understand the message here? Nobody is going to be bothered about your greatness and beauty unless you're going to demonstrate to the world in terms of the impact and the influence that you will create. So don't be self-obsessed. Don't carry nasty perceptions, wrong perceptions about it. It's nothing okay. Sometimes we don't add experience, but work on it. So that's very important. And this is one quick guideline I want to give with you without spending time here. I'll be sharing the sheets. This is one recommendation from Robin Sharma School: 7 to 8 hours of sleep and rest, and about 8 hours work, 2 hours eating and whatever, 2 to 3 hours health, exercise. We clearly have about 3 to 4 hours every day to invest on some learning. Learn something related to your work, related to work. Keep up your passions. If you are this is the scale. If you are about 15%, very good, performance appraisal. 15 to 20%, super. And this is 10 to 15%. 20 to 25%, they are excellent. We can all invest on a weekly basis, maybe about 10 to 12 hours. It is possible to invest in learning and working on yourself, to bring out the better versions of yourself. Number 4 is success. Okay? Is there anyone here who doesn't want to be successful? We all want to be successful, right? But I want to share the right way that we need. If you want to really achieve success and stay successful, even from Satya Nadella and others, it's very important to get the right perspective of success. Okay? He's a great philosopher in Europe, Thomas. If you advance confidently in the direction of your dreams and endeavor to do something that you have always imagined, you will meet with your own success at a moment when you least expect it to come to you. This is a very philosophical statement. Let me read it again. I'll be sharing this with you. But what it simply means is success is an internal process. Success is not something we go and get out of life. Success is something we bring into everything that we do in our life every day. When you keep doing that, without doing it beautifully, more, success will come to you in amounts that you never expected. Okay? You need to bring success, bring beauty, bring mastery. Don't look at your job as a job. Look at your job as an opportunity for you to perform mastery. Then success will follow. That is the main message here. And finally, before I share the models, in today's world, we need to be very mindful, always. We have to be very mindful about our minds. Human mind is so powerful, extremely powerful. It's the most powerful supercomputer in this world. But there is a big problem with the mind. As I am talking to you, I know some of you are working in your mind. Somewhere else, probably you are in Switzerland. Some of you are at the lunch table, or coffee table. And with the smartphones, we are all bombarded. Something like 25,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day within our minds. Our minds are not in our control. Our mind runs away. Okay? There's a lot of, there's a big, and out of which 80% are negative thoughts. And 95% are repetitive thoughts. So you need to learn, as leaders especially, as leaders, we need to practice managing, organizing, systematic, you said, right, systematic. Systemizing and disciplining your mind towards your passion, processes, and where you want to move to. Control your mind. Because many of us sometimes get addicted to our mind and distractions. Distractions are, we have to constantly, how many of us constantly pick up the phone and check? I'm not going to, most of us do it, even I do it. Addiction to distraction causes death of creative production. Robin Sharma. Addiction to distraction causes death of creative production. Again, when you want to build your UDAs, USPs, you need to let your thoughts being organized nicely. For which, with a big traffic jam, you need to be once in a while in the state of being. This is a little philosophical, I will be fast here. You need to be just thinking. You need to be in the state of realizing the I am. Just the me. Just I am. Not I am this, I am that, I am a manager, I am a CEO, I am a general manager. It's just I am who you are. That is the value that you are bringing into this world every day. That is the value you want to bring out every day. All these genius people, Satyanarayana, Nelson Mandela's, Mahatma Gandhi's, everyone, take anyone in this world who has been extraordinarily successful, they are practitioners. And one of the evidence of not being addicted to your mind is your listening capability. If you are able to listen and understand what someone says, then you are in good control of your mind. If you are not able to listen, then there is a problem. I'm telling you, there is a serious problem, not for you. You need to take control of yourself first. When you see people on the street talking to themselves and going around, what do we do? If he's our relative, what do we do? We take him to the doctor, right? But if you are there and you are not able to listen, there is something inside you. I'm just scaring you because, it is incessant thinking is not good. Control thinking is good. Because, Mr. Buddha said, enlightenment is the end of suffering. It's a philosophy of Buddha. Here, and he left it, end of suffering. Enlightenment is the end of suffering. Suffering from what? He left it purposefully. Like he left the human beings to fill it. Because we are all lazy, if he gives the answer. The enlightenment is the end of enslavement from a continuously thinking mind. If you are not able to control your addiction from a continuously thinking mind, which thinks about so many things, then you are becoming a slave of the thinking, rather than you controlling your thinking. Again, it's a practice. You need to practice. There are techniques. We will talk about it in some other workshop. Be mindful about your mind. Finally, I want to share with you some practical models very quickly. One is the 5R model. Okay? This is all towards improving your personality, personal mastery, thinking powers, articulation powers, leadership abilities, everything. Self-leadership, self-organized. Practice these models once in a while on a consistent 5R model. What is the 5R model? Read, reflect, rewrite, relive, and reproduce. This is the 5R model. Read, read something every day. I mean, read again for the benefit of those who cannot read. Listen. Listen to podcasts. Listen to YouTube videos. Listen to people. Go and sit with your grandfather. Maybe he is going to talk to you a lot of philosophy, a lot of sense. Listen, learn. That is, read basically here is learning. And then reflect. Get into an isolation and start reflecting. What is your man? No, I learned from Robin Sharma, but I converted it into my own style. That is reflect. But I don't want to talk about myself. There are so many leaders here. Reflect, sit and reflect. If you don't do this, you are doing injustice to yourself. And then rewrite or recapture your thoughts. So what now in your own version. And sometimes when you rewrite, some of that may not make sense, may not make practical sense. How do you put it to test? Live those thoughts. Whether it is practical, whether it is feasible, whether it is workable, whether I can come and talk to you about personal mastery for 1.5 hours, maybe it's theoretical, but I put it to test, then I'm reliving. Then I start reproducing, then I learn more. Then repeat this cycle, 5R cycle. These charts will be with you. Practice in whatever be your area, whether it is you want to talk about process plans, whether you want to talk about management, whether you want to talk about safety, whether you want to start working towards it. Maybe you want to dance, master that. The 4 P's, again, we are all human beings and we need to balance our lives. Balancing our life is so important. People, professional, passion, and personal. We need to every day or constantly we need to be balancing this. What is people here? I'm not talking only of the people who are reporting to you. In your personal life, there are people, you have a family which is dependent on you. Your children, you have a mother, father to take care, maybe they are dependent on you. Okay? There is always some people connected to you. So you have to spend time, you have to give them time. At the same time, your profession is very important. It's a breadwinning opportunity for you. You need to be, and you have a growth opportunity. Profession, passion. You need to have some passion in life. As a human being, again, 1 in 400 trillion. One, our natural state is energy. We have a mindset filled with ideas, heart set filled with love. Practice your passion. If you are a sporty person, go and practice tennis if you want to play soccer. Whatever you like, do it consistently. And personal. What is personal? You need to give yourself some time every day. Meaningful time. Think about yourself. Are you managing everything? Is your health okay? You are running after money. You are running after growth. But will I be alive after 10 years? What do I have to do? Do I get my blood checks done? Health checks done? If my doctor is advising me, am I doing something? Or am I overworking and overburning myself or overeating and oversleeping myself? Balance these 4 P's. So that, finally we are a machine. We need to be at the best of our efficiency and enjoy our life to produce the best. 4P balance. 5R, 4P. This is a little philosophical. It is Robin Sharma's 4I model. This is Robin Sharma. We all have 4 interior empires. Okay, this is the second last one. Next one I will let you go. But it's a very important one. We all think life, we have a mindset in managing ourselves. It's not just the mindset. There is the way that we have to manage ourselves. We need to look at the mindset, heart set, health set, and soul set. And approximately, let's say 25% each. So mind is about our analytical ability, our ability to think, our ability to comprehend, our ability to plan. It is all in the mind. But heart set, how can you give the best? You may be the best chemical engineer, but how can you give the best of you when your heart is in pain? Not physical pain, if you are hurt by something. If there is some bad thing in your mind, heart. For which, again, the Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela had the choice to regret the next 10 years taking revenge on those guys. The guys who put him inside prison. But he chose not to live inside his own mental prison. So that this is heart set. Heart set is about empathy, about love, about forgiveness. You need to practice it. Health set, it's obvious, you need to manage your health. Soul set, very, very important. Turning down the voice of your ego, the chattering noises of your ego. That is so very important. So, again, as I told you, ego is nothing but your scared version of your own internal self. Don't be a slave to that. Balance these things. so that you will produce your very best. You'll always be able to produce your USPs, your UDAs are going to be very strong. Finally, I'm just, because I know there are a lot of, what is the, if I have to put an average age here, Abu Hatim, what will be, you are the best judge. What will be an average age here or an average age in Farad, Yadu? Approximately, plus one.
Here I would say 45.
45? This guy is looking at me. Are you sure?
You can't yourself Muhammad
Wait, no, not us. They are retired.
So we must be 200 years.
I think I will give it a 30s, somewhere mid 30s I would give. And FYPC maybe late 20s or early 30s, okay? It could be, but it is very important for us how we look at managing our decades. You know, this is Jack Ma and Ramesh Sharma. You need to plan for managing your decades going forward. You are all probably in the second important decade of your life, okay? See, I want to share with you this. See, as kids, until our decade one starts when we are in the early 20s. I put 25 here, let's say 20, because our first decade in our life, when we are kids and youth, it is a guided phase of our life. Okay, sometimes we don't get to choose which school we want to attend, right? And you know, and even when we are entering the college, probably our parents or teachers or somebody is influencing our decision. So that is a guided phase. We have to just do our job. That's it. Somebody is going to take care. After that, you start taking care of yourself. In the first decade, it's 25 to 30 years. The advice, the personal mastery advice, seek, learn, change, adapt, and acquire as much as you possible. This is the foundation stage of your life. Strengthen your foundations as much as possible. Remember this, education is inoculations against disruption. If you educate yourself, not just formal education, learning things, knowing things, no disruption of this world will affect you. Like no disruption affected Farabi 15 years. Okay? But you need to be energetic, enthusiastic, maintaining good health, good energy, sleep on time, wake up on time, which is a big problem now, so that you seek, learn, and change and adapt so much as possible. 35 to 45, start specializing. Start focusing. Master. What are you good at? Mastery. And establish yourself very strongly in your industry, in your position, or in your passion, whatever. That is the second phase. The decade 3, start working on succession, legacy building, develop people and training, health focus. You know, that's when we all get into problems. And be exponentially productive. You understand the word exponentially productive. You need to maximize your output at this stage. Not because you have to work hard, but you need to learn to produce more within limited number of hours, so that you balance, because you are getting old. You need to start balancing your times rightly. When you are young, we don't realize this. We stretch ourselves. Now here we need to balance. So for which, within the limited hours, number of hours, you produce maximum. Focus, do your passion. Decade 55 to 65 years, more health, legacy, health building, focus, leadership, passion work. Focus on your passion. What attracts you? What you love to do. Don't just work for what you have to do for somebody else. What excites you? Focus on the passion work. Start focusing very much on the 4 interior empires here, more on the heart set and the soul set here. Okay, but this should be practiced only, but here more. And get ready. You need to get ready for next phase. You know, you cannot stop like this. Okay, you need to slow down. You need to rebalance. 65 to 70 years, rejuvenate, relax, relive, recreate, and after that, inshallah. Okay, so. Inshallah. Okay. But you know, so very important to really manage you. You are all in this second decade, probably. This is touching the second decade, average, as far as. There's so much to go ahead. I think please try to follow this guideline. You will really, you will progress, grow, add more wisdom, and fortify yourself. Fortification is so important. Strengthen yourself. You'll be very strong. Improve in confidence, discipline, body line, everything. You will be a great product with a great brand value if you can 70-80% follow this. Okay. This I keep sharing with all the marketing new engineers. I'm sharing this. And, I'm seeing, like, I see some of them are getting excited. And finally, the final slide, ladies and gentlemen, this is for the final future ladies. Great transformation in this world, all transformations have not been an overnight revolution. Have been hardworking evolutions day in and day out. If you have to evolve to the best version of yourself, you need to work on you every day. And enjoy doing the work. Find your passion. Find the balance and strike it. And don't be without empathy. Work with empathy. Everyone, you can connect with anyone in this world if you practice empathy. And be humble to know what you don't know. Again, don't be a Donald Trump. As a current example, you should be. And then don't become a victim to your ego. This is Mr. If you want world-class results, if you want to become world-class leaders, Dr. Vesh, we need to put in world-class efforts and world-class performance. Otherwise, it's not going to be easy. Sometimes it is painful. This journey, sometimes when you're making the stretch in your personal mastery, self-growth journey, those journeys sometimes very demanding. You might, like in the tennis terms, you will start bleeding through between the nails and the toes. Okay, that will be painful. But only way you can master is start enjoying that pain. And I'm just using that pain as a metaphor here. With your work, with your business, with your passion, you will be stretched, you will be demanded. But if you want to achieve the second mountain, or even cross over the first mountain, and to reach where you aspire to reach, which is always your dream, learn to enjoy this pain, and transformation will come. Thank you very much. It's been an honor talking to each and every one of you. I want to appreciate your rapt attention and your time. If you have any questions, I want to thank the management committee to let me talk to you on behalf of FYPC-Leadership and Management Committee. We would like to do more of this, more engagements, so that there's more enrichment of what we are created for. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.